Hello and welcome to One-on-One Shots with B. Dave Walters. Today I am blessed, yea, I say unto thee, elevated by the presence of one Mr. Jim Zub. Jim Zub.
I don't know if I can handle that intro. That is some potent stuff there. And potence is a fine word to use.
I appreciate that. That's true. That is very on brand for what we're doing today. Jim, for someone that may not immediately know you or know your name, but don't necessarily know the things that you've done, like
right.
What are some of the things that you are known for? And it is such a long list.
I'm going to try and I'm known for writing a lot of comic books. So I've written on all kinds of different series for like Marvel. I've done the Avengers, Thunderbolts, Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda, and Champions, stuff like that. I'm currently the writer on Conan the Barbarian, which is, very much my brand. I'm known a lot for sword and sorcery stuff, but in gaming circles, I have written a slew of gaming related comics. So everything from Pathfinder and Exalted to Munchkin, and most recently, I write the Dungeons and Dragons comic series for IDW, 5 different miniseries that have encompassed what we call the heroes of Baldur's Gate. So Minsk and Boo and Krydel and Delina, these characters that I've been writing since 5th edition launched, as well as co-writing Rick and Morty versus D&D. So it's funny because when you reached out to me to talk about, doing this thing, it was like, well, you've written A Darkened Wish and I write, the Baldur's Gate heroes. Everyone's going to assume we're doing Dungeons and Dragons. So we have to,
so let's not. Yeah,
we have to go another direction, clearly. And I know you've been doing a ton of Vampire the Masquerade stuff. And I'm an old White Wolf hand as well. I've been playing White Wolf since 1st edition, and I absolutely love the games. And I haven't had a chance to dig into the new edition of Vampire the Masquerade. So this is a perfect excuse for me to get caught up on it.
When we were queuing up, you showed me something, and I want you to show it here in a second. But first, ambush feels. I'm ambushing this man.
Okay.
I work in comics because of Jim Zub.
Stop.
No, it's true. No, it's true. He posted a series of articles about like being an independent comic creator and just what it means and how he broke in and the things he's done. And I literally applied the strategies that he shared. And it's weird. It's crazy. I know that even as I say it, that if people actually follow the advice, it actually works.
Right.
Can verify. Yeah. So,
that's very kind. No, it's been I've been writing pretty steadily now for about 10 years in comics. Before that, I've done all sorts of other roles in the comic book business, everything from editorial to lettering to coloring and some art. But writing and storytelling is really my passion. It's what I've always absolutely loved. And as I was starting to finally get traction with what I was doing, people were asking me, how do you break in? How do you pitch a story? How do you get a publisher to pay attention to your stuff? And I knew on some level, but the act of like codifying it and going, well, this is what I did, and here's what I think the commonalities are with other people I've met who tried to break into the business and do this stuff. And I tried to write it down because that's how I'm able to kind of demystify it for myself and to organize my thoughts. And so I tend to have these kind of like explosive, here's a bunch of information, like literally last night on Twitter, I was talking about that new chart that came out. Wizards was talking about their best year ever for Dungeons and Dragons, and I was kind of breaking down why I think D&D is as big as it's ever been, and it's like a way for me to sort of organize my thoughts on it. Like that's just a natural thing for me to do. I teach at an art college here in Toronto called Seneca. And I'm so used to like breaking things into bite-sized pieces for my students and going, here are some nuggets, here's stuff that you can understand. I think that's just kind of my nature on it. And the number of people have told me that they pitched a story using some of the stuff I talked about pitching, or that they understood how a script works based on how I kind of broke down the process that I've gone through. It's really heartwarming, and it's genuinely like it still kind of blows me away. And as much as I feel like I'm still figuring this stuff out all the time, but I think we all do. That's kind of the creative thing, right? You never feel like you're a master of it. You're always pushing.
Well,
And
and
trying to
it can be deceptively and frustratingly subjective at times.
oh yeah.
What that editor wants, that editor hates. You know, what that
Mhm.
person says yes to, 10 said no to. Everybody's got that story. You know, the 15th submission is when they
Yeah.
took it, and now it's the biggest property in the world. Yeah.
And not only that, but also even as you're working through, so like at Marvel, there's different editorial offices. Each editor has their own style of working or their own kind of communication methods. And so whenever you come on a new project, even if you're at the same company, I'm constantly figuring out the way that person wants to work, or the way this creative team is going to function, or how much reference this artist wants. The commonality is the fact it's always changing, and your ability to be adaptable and kind of fleet of foot is going to serve you well in any kind of creative industry. I think it's true in gaming. I think it's true in video games and live action productions, anything. If you are in the act of taking creative projects from inception to completion, you've got to be adaptable. You've got to be willing to step up and solve problems in unexpected places, Yeah, big time.
Well, let me ask you just this one last thing, because you and I will absolutely nerd out and talk about writing and storytelling for the next
Absolutely.
3 hours, which is like that'll be the spinoff show,
Right?
But let me just ask you this one question. Of course, word is there's an apocalypse. We're in the darkest timeline. That's what I hear. That's the word on the waves.
Yeah.
For anyone that is thinking about like trying to still pursue something creative, that is still thinking about trying to climb that hill, like given everything that's going on right now, what would you say to that person?
I mean, the reality is that our ability to stay creative and to make things is still better than ever before. The fact that you and I are able to do this right now and literally play a game across, countries and time zones in real time is because of the internet, and that's true of finding artists and collaborating with people and building stuff. I'm still working away on my projects. If anything, like I know a lot of freelancers kind of, it's a joke because obviously life is crazy right now, but this idea that life hasn't changed that much if your head's down at a computer plugging away, you know what I mean? That I can still write scripts and we can still make art. It's harder because of all of the stresses and the problems and the tension of what's happening in and around us, and the industries that are going through upheaval. But your own ability to create is not going away. Do you know what I mean? I'm finding it more difficult to write. I'm finding it more difficult to be consistently productive because of the din, because of the noise that's happening. But I love it. And when I get those moments where I can finally escape back into writing or into the creative thing, I remember why I do it. You know what I mean? Because it is something I pour myself into.
I appreciate you sharing that there, that even somebody with your credits is saying that it's still a struggle to do sometimes. because even to your previous point, I definitely think people think you get to a point that you figured it out. And I think something that was useful for me is I come from a background in the martial arts. And a lot of times people that haven't trained think that getting a black belt means you finished. Getting a black belt means you've begun.
Right?
Yeah, it's like you've mastered the basics.
Absolutely. The way I explained it to someone, I think last year we were talking, and they said, writer's block, or do you ever feel like your work sucks and you don't know what to do next? And I go, all the time. Absolutely. But the difference for me is when I hit that dark heart of the soul, when I'm like, oh, this sucks, I'm terrible, how is this ever going to get done? I have been through the other side of it. I've kicked to the shadows until it bleeds daylight, or whatever, analogy you want to use. I've come through that other side so many times that I now recognize I'm in that spot and I will get through it. But I can imagine, and I recall what it was like on those earliest creative projects when that wasn't the case. I didn't know that you feel like this all the time, that it's part of almost every creative process, that it rarely goes smoothly or the way you intend. And so now I look and I go, oh, really? I'm here again? Man, I thought I was over this. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to roll around in this for a while until I can break through. You know what I mean? But the knowledge that I have done so over and over and over again powers me and to redouble my efforts. It doesn't make it easy, and it doesn't mean it's something that I want to go through, but it happens. And that's the big difference. A lot of times I think people hit that feeling the first few times and they go, I guess I'm not meant to do it because I don't have talent. And if I was gifted, it wouldn't feel like this. I would be, it would be inspiration pouring out of my fingertips all the time, you know? So. Yeah.
A trick I learned that I think helped me the most with that, it was Mark Victor Hansen said this in a talk of his I listened to years ago. He's like, that's why you have 3 to 4 projects going, because you'll always feel inspired by something.
Yeah, and it's also why. Yeah, no, totally. I agree with you there. The other thing too for me is about having collaborators is a huge part of it for me. If you're trying to get the momentum on a new project that has no particular deadline, and I know you and I talked about this because of your Kickstarter and stuff, that you hit a point where you have to punch it and just go, we have to do this. If I don't start doing this, it'll never happen. Because the ambiguous nature of, I'm going to do a thing eventually, it's going to happen at some point. So for me, once I have an artist attached to a project, I've kind of made a commitment to them. We are doing a thing, and I made a promise to you that we're going to do this thing. And that can usually push me over the lurch. Obviously, on a career, like a work for hire project, I have a deadline. An editor is expecting something from me, and that gives me that, you know, fuel to push me through a lot of those little bumps and the, okay, stop mucking around on social media. Okay, you know, close the door to the studio, sit down here, literally here in front of my desk, and rock this thing out. You can't wait for the muses to hit your fingertips. You know, too many people I know who haven't done a lot of stuff, they want their creative careers to be like Athena. So in the legend, she's pulled from the forehead of Zeus. She's an adult and she's perfect in every way, right? That she arrives as this golden warrior. They want their creative careers to be that. They want to have arrived. That the very first thing you hear about them is, oh my gosh, this person is the greatest, you know, writer, artist, creator. Where were they before this?
Here's money and awards and accolades. Thank you.
Right. And no matter how new you think they are, almost inevitably you'll find out that they've been doing it for years, that they've been cranking away on this stuff for years in obscurity. And it was just that this one thing finally gained traction, you know.
As a person in, you know, the world that I believe I occupy, I believe in a lot of things, you know, like I'm just, you know, the cryptids, religious stuff. Like, I mean, I'm a believing person, but there are 2 things I can tell you for certain do not exist.
Okay.
The self-made man or the self-made woman.
Oh, man.
Literally everyone has had help. Literally everyone.
Yep.
And the overnight success.
Right. Big time.
Like just like you said, just because you're seeing it now was like, no, but so much.
Well, and that's the thing for me. Yeah, even when I finally had the breakout, and on a writing point of view, it was probably 2010 was when I did Skull Kickers, which was my first big creator-owned project, but not my first one by any means. The first comic I ever made was in 2001. It was a web comic called The Makeshift Miracle, and so we're talking, you know, 9 years between that. And I wasn't making comics all the way through. I wasn't even writing all the way through. I went through ebbs and flows of different creative projects and different roles and my own kind of fears and where am I supposed to be and what is my role and all this stuff. But what I always came back to was storytelling. What I always came back to was I love to tell stories. I love to engage stories. I love to make stuff. And so whether I was doing art or I was doing editorial, that was where I could always kind of get momentum. In mentally, you know, it was easy for me to turn up the gas on it. And so with when I started making my own comics again and I got that fire back in a really, really big way, I was like, yeah, this is what I've been missing. This is what I really want to do. And the minute that I put that kind of passion into it, I started to see returns on it, you know, and not financial at first, but more in terms of satisfaction and excitement and other people's excitement. It was coming through in the work as I was trying to refine my skills and figure out how to do it better.
Yeah, and just to see it come to life, like you mentioned the Kickstarter, which, shameless plug, our Kickstarter for Electropunk is up on Kickstarter now. It's a graphic novel,
and it looks amazing, by the way.
Oh,
it looks so good. No, absolutely, it does, man. I was like, you sent me
I'm,
the link on it, and I was like, the artwork totally rocks. It's so good, and the concept's fun. It just looks great.
we're gonna go back and there's just gonna be that big starburst on the Kickstarter. It looks awesome. You know, right?
Sure, that's
Yeah.
great. I'll throw a much more eloquent quote at you at some point.
But yeah, you know, it's you just keep refining. We've been working on that project for almost 6 years now, and
Oh
there's
my
all
gosh.
these different iterations of the characters, and I've got a stack of scripts this high, and it's just when you love it, you just have to. At some point, you just have to see it through. You know,
Right.
because yeah, you can't.
And the collaborative aspect of it, I think you fully appreciate, because you're such a well-honed gamer. You know that it's not about what the dungeon master wants and what the players want. It's everybody coming together to do a thing. And that's what almost every creative project is, unless you're the wonderkind who can write and draw and color and letter and edit and like, right. You need people, with you. You need the collaborative spirit. And so that same mentality that brings you, I think, makes you strong at the gaming table, is the same spirit that's going to make comics, work well and make the whole thing kind of come together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I will just say one last thing to tie off on this, because again, we really will spend the entire time talking about this. If you're thinking about making something, do it. Make it.
Yeah,
do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Don't worry that it's not the thing you originally imagined it was going to be. That's another one of those things, like the Athena thing. You come up with a concept, and in your head, it's always flawless. In your daydreams, it's already a success, and you made $1 and everyone loves it. But the minute you put it down on paper, the minute you write that story outline, the minute you talk to an artist or someone else about it, you're going to see this misformed thing, the holes in it and the problems and all the things you need to grab whatever you can to hold it together and take it to the finish line. And the act of doing that will change it. The act of doing that will evolve it. And that's part of the process. And you have to make your peace with that, learn from it, and then, take what you've learned and put it into the next thing. If all you do is try and hold on to that thing so tightly and make it in your head, it's perfect, and it's not perfect when it comes out. So therefore you give up on it, you'll never finish anything.
Ever. What is that?
Yeah.
The worst thing you wrote is better than the best thing you did not write.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Now let me ask you this, because you showed me some OG street cred there.
Yeah,
some
man.
people might be like, Jim Zub, Vampire, what? I'm not gonna spoil it. What is this you showed me here?
This is like one of the limited edition hardbacks. It's got the silver finish and all this stuff. I've been playing Masquerade since first edition. I don't know. I think this might be second edition. They released these.
Yeah, that's the one that would have had the rose on the green background.
It's got like a silver ink. And
oh yeah,
it's all shimmery. It's gorgeous, man. This book's a beauty. I got a whole set of these from Brian Glass. He was the art director on Exalted at White Wolf, and I did some artwork for Exalted back in the day. Going down to Atlanta and visiting the White Wolf offices, I was giddy. I was like a big kid again, because all through high school, man, like the White Wolf books were. Vertigo comics were hot, like the Sandman and the Invisibles and all that stuff. Like those were the cool comics. And then White Wolf was coming into their own at the same point. It was like, I desperately want to be cool, goth, older, mature, going to tell these impressive stories. You know what I mean? My voice changes to match the impressiveness of this storytelling, and I love. So it's like different games kind of represent different eras of my life for tabletop, honestly. And I go through these phases of like the theater kids, you want to say something deep, or you want to attach to these emotions in cool ways. I watched your episode, from last week, and I love Matthew's passion for this stuff. It's infectious, man. When people are into this, and you can tell that they're not putting on airs, like they're into it and they want you to be into it, and they're not afraid of being into it. That's one of the things I love about pop culture right now is people are passionate about their fandom,
And it's cool to be a geek. Like it's okay to nerd out about things. I'm glad we arrived here as a people, because I I was just kind of born with this innate sense of I'm just immune to like
Oh,
people like laughing or thinking something I like is stupid. It just truly does not faze me like at all. But I'm glad to see that like the world is like, oh, it's fine that you like Harry Potter. It's
yeah,
cool that you like D&D. It's okay,
yeah,
because everyone did.
right,
That's what we're learning now. It's either everyone did or wish they could and just didn't
right.
have anybody to play with.
That's been the weirdest thing is, the tabletop gaming coming back into this massive resurgence, and people saying, I always wanted to. I always wished I'd play Dungeons and Dragons. You're like, did you? I don't
Yeah,
know, man. Like I was
you knew we
so
were doing it. You didn't say anything.
I played the games, but man, I did not feel that confidence for a long time. I played all through high school, but we had a tight-knit group of friends. And the one guy who actually had a decent part-time job, so he was like buying all the books, and we would just go over to his place and pour over all of them. And I was obsessed with the White Wolf stuff, and obviously D&D and everything else. But it felt like our little group. You know what I mean? For the longest time, it wasn't until I grew up in Oshawa. It's like a little blue collar city just outside of Toronto. It's where the General Motors plant was. The city's slogan is the city that motivates Canada, which is the corniest thing ever, right? And there was an inordinate amount of gamers, I think, because we all felt sort of like if you weren't a jock or in that kind of space, like this was our spot, comic books and role-playing games. And there was a couple comic book stores, and we played like crazy. And then in high school, I was obsessed with, like I said, the Vertigo comics and the White Wolf books. But I didn't really feel confident. I still felt like that shy, scared kid the whole time through high school. It wasn't until I went to college and I realized that no one had any preconceived notions of who I was that I could reinvent myself. And that was sort of like okay. And those characters, the confidence of those characters kind of drove me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also had a similar experience where you're like, "Oh, you're in college. Oh, this is you get another shot at this. Oh,
Right.
okay. Yeah. Now we're different people. Oh, okay,
Right.
great. Yeah, let's do it." Yeah,
Yeah.
I think people also are seeing now, and part of this resurgence is I think the essence of fandom, and to an even greater extent, gaming is about belonging, about feeling like you're a part of something. I mean, sports franchises are fandoms; they always were. Fantasy football is
People
it's still
obsessing over baseball stats is equally crazy and
it's the
weird
same
and
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's fine, brother. You can like both. It's cool. It's cool. Like there's room at the table for literally everyone.
Yeah.
It's like it is okay. Now, but you mentioned to me also that like something else good
Oh,
came to you through the World of Darkness community. What was that you were telling me?
so I was, in high school, I played with a group of guys, and you'd look through the artwork in those books and you'd be like, these people are so cool and stylish and amazing. And I am awkward and gangly and dopey.
So many trench coats. So many trench coats.
And then I go to college, and what had happened was one of the big comic book stores in Toronto, there's this store called the Silver Snail. And at that point it was down on Queen Street, and it was 2 floors, which, whoa, this is a huge store. Huge. The shop on the main floor was just comics everywhere. And the second floor was mostly gaming. So it was Magic the Gathering cards and role-playing games, some models and toys up there as well. So I go walking in there, and whenever we would go to Toronto, I would try and visit the store. But I had just moved to Toronto to go to school. I was taking 1 year of film and multimedia at a Humber College. And I go to the store, and I noticed there's a flyer there for a Vampire the Masquerade LARP. And I was just like, what? Like, I had seen the LARP rules, and my friend had bought them.
You freaking nerd.
Yeah, I know, right? And I was like, this is crazy. This thing, I don't know how that would work. Like, I saw the LARP rules and the paper, scissors, rock and all that stuff. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, because we tried it with our group, and it sucked because there was like 5 of us sitting around a table, and we were just like, why don't we just use dice? This makes no sense. Also, you can't wear shoes in the house because you're at your buddy's place or whatever. Like, you don't feel like you're in that environment. And this was taking place at a goth bar in downtown Toronto, and it was like, oh,
Let me
adult.
just tell you, I love literally everything about this story. Like 100% of this was
Yes.
like, wait, like even like we don't even have to play Vampire. This alone was worth showing up for. But please continue.
So I'm at that point in time, I'm living at my aunt's house, because that was like the transitional from living with my parents to living with my cool aunt and uncle, who were like, go forth and enjoy the city. Don't worry, we won't tell your parents if you do something stupid. Because you're at that age, you got to go, kind of go wild. And they were great. They were amazing. And so what had happened was I made a couple friends at school, but it was literally just the first couple of weeks of school. And a couple of them had played D&D and role-playing games, but not even that intensely. And I wanted to get something going. And then I told them, hey, there's this, get together at a goth bar. And one of the guys was like, oh, hot girls are at goth bars. I was like, I mean, I hope so. That would be nice to see anything even remotely resembling my imagination of this stuff. And so it was going to be on like a Tuesday night, because they wouldn't do it on, like the weekend, because that's their prime business. But this was like a Tuesday night. They were going to have a game. And so I convinced my friends to go. And literally I phoned them up after that evening. And one of them, his student loan hadn't come in, so he didn't even have enough money for gas, so he couldn't go. And the other guy, when I called, he picked up the phone. Keep in mind, this is pre-cell phones and everything else. He's literally having a fight with his girlfriend on the phone. And he's like, dude, I can't talk right now. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. And I was just like, oh, I guess I'm not going to this thing, because I'm not going by myself. That would be insane. And then I sit down and I'm hanging out, and my aunt is like, I thought you were going out with your friends tonight. And I was like, no, they just bailed on me. And, and she goes, so you're not going to go to, and I was like, no. And she's like, you're an adult. You can do what you want. You can go have fun by yourself and meet people. I was like, yeah, but I've never been to this place. And she goes, that's why it'll be worth doing, because you haven't done it before. Or you can just sit here and like watch Wheel of Fortune with me, like, and I was like, oh, all right, I'll just go look. I'll just go. So I get on the subway and I'm riding down, and I can
I just inject one tiny thing into your story here? You were talking about Athena before. Remember, a big part of Athena's thing was she showed up as mentor to guide the impressionable young man. Right? You're the Telemachus on this Odyssey here. Totally. I'm like, shout out to your aunt here. She may literally be a goddess. That's all I'm saying. My life. Just point that out there.
I go to this place, and literally clustered around the outside of this goth bar are 30, 40 people, all dressed to the nines in costume. So the Bruya are all in the leather jackets with the spikes on the shoulders, and the bikers, and they didn't like, these were all aged, adults, like they were 30s, 40s. There were people dressed in suits, and I was like, well, those must be the Ventrue, and then you're like, and those guys with the suits have got a bunch of occult symbology, those must be the Tremere, and I'm literally looking down across, everyone's decked out, I'm in jeans and a t-shirt, and this is just like the clan guide splayed out in front of me, and this huge bouncer comes out and just screams, line up everybody, you gotta pay your entry fee, and then we're gonna get you registered and start up the game. And I was just like, oh my god. And I'm standing just like far enough away that I could pretend I'm not doing this thing if I have to, like plausible deniability. And he's like, are you playing the game tonight? I was like, I mean, I was thinking about it. And he goes, shit or get off the pot, buddy. And I was like, I guess I'm in. And so I go downstairs.
This is like legit the Odyssey. Like I love so much of this.
It's amazing, right? It was such a wild night. And so I go into the place, and everyone's getting registered, and the head storyteller comes over and introduced himself. His name's Quentin, and he was like, hey, so who are you here with? And I was like, I grabbed the flyer. And he goes, oh, you're the first person who's come from the Flyers. And I was like, oh God, I'm by myself and I don't know anyone, and I'm so wigged out. And he's like, no, it's great. Everyone here's super nice. They're going to be so happy to meet you. It's going to be cool. Do you know anything about this stuff? I was like, I know Vampire. I know the rules. I actually even know a bit of the LARP rules. I'm good. Okay, good. Here's a character sheet. Can you get something pulled together? I'll be back in like 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, cool. And I sit down and I go, oh God, I didn't think about what I'm going to play. So I made this like loner gangrel. It was just like grim, whatever. Because I thought jeans and a t-shirt, that's all I've got going for me, visually speaking. And so I put that together, and he comes back and he looks at it and he goes, buddy, what's your name? I said, I'm Jim. And he goes, Jim, I'm not here to tell you what to play, but you don't know anyone here. Maybe you should make a character that's social so you can meet people. And I was like, that's a good point. He goes, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay. So I put it down and I was terrified. I was like, I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm going to make an ass of myself. I'm not going to be able to do this. And then I said, what if I make a character that's scared, and that'll be what I'll play, because I can play scared because I'm currently very scared. And so I made a Malkavian. That way, if I needed to get out of a conversation, I could just do something weird and I wouldn't have to justify it for role playing. I could literally just flip a switch and go, not my problem, and just like get out while still being in character. So I made this Malkavian, and it was like this crazy thing because I played, it's like a 4-hour game in this goth bar decked out to the nines. And the very first person that I spoke to that night, once the game started, all the neonates were lined up to meet the prince. They had to get accepted to be welcome to the city, old school Camarilla. The person in line behind me, I turned to look at her, and she just sort of looked at me. I don't know who this person is. We're about to play the game. And I just sort of like opened up and started being a weirdo and being funny. And I was suddenly confident and witty, all the things that I would want to say in conversation, but I would be too afraid to say. I would just sort of let out because it wasn't me. I was just playing the game. Many, many years later, that woman is my wife. That's Stacy King. And that's how we met. Was at a Vampire the Masquerade LARP so many years ago, which is insane, right?
Your first Vampire the Masquerade. See, okay, here's the thing. These are the things that I love about this story that are important, and they are directly applicable to all of life. Your aunt went to bat for you. You know,
yes.
You listened to her. Freaking refusal of the call. This is the hero's journey. It's all of it. You know.
Yeah, it was so weird, man.
You met you with a mentor. You know, but I mean, hey, man, you put yourself out there and you tried something new, and something fantastic came from it. And you know what? And you know what? What's the absolute literal worst thing that was going to happen is you'd have had a shitty night and gone home.
Right. Well, and that was what I realized was, if I left, no one would have ever known who I was. So I wouldn't. they'd have been, remember that weirdo who showed up for 4 hours and just, yeah, who was that? I don't know. Who brought him? No one knows. He's gone, you know?
That is so great. And that is like infinite vampire street cred there.
Thank you.
Which this is like, and for her too, because she was there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so,
it's crazy, man. Like we I played in that game for years. I made tons of lifelong friends, you know, through that game. People I still know to this day, people I talked to last week, you know, like people who were at our wedding and all this sort of stuff. It's so bizarre, right? My the way we explained it to my parents was we always told them it was a murder mystery. You're like, it's a murder mystery story.
I mean, it's not that.
No, it's not. But, you know, that was something they could kind of understand as a concept because you get dressed up and you go to a thing. My favorite was I was playing for over a year. And I told my mom I was going out for the murder mystery evening. And she just goes, can I ask a weird question? I'm like, what's that? Haven't you caught the guy yet?
You're like, surprise, Mom, I am the guy.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's a little more complex than that. But no, they haven't caught the guy yet. It's a very involved murder. There's a lot going on.
Yep, he's Prince. He's hard to get to.
That's right.
This is a magnificent segue to who are you playing tonight then? Which is today, but it's tonight when you're maybe watching
tonight. It's good. So that's why I made a Malkavian, not to play the same character because I don't want to retread that character, but I just thought it's fun. It's always fun to have a character who's a little bit unhinged and taking an alternate sort of view of the world of darkness. And so I made a Malkavian, a 13th generation Malkavian called Flynn, Flynn the Finder. And he has particular obsessions and qualities to him that I thought would be kind of fun to dig into. It's been quite a while since I played Vampire. So I thought, okay, in some ways it's familiar. I like Malkavians a lot. I think that I like characters who make things happen. I don't want passive characters, and I don't, for myself, you know, people can play what they want to play. But now, particularly at the table, I like engaging other people. I like giving them the tools to make story happen, because I'm normally the storyteller or the dungeon master or whatever you call it. I'm normally the person trying to generate, interaction and trying to keep the ball in play. And I try and make characters that make your job easier. You know what I mean? So yeah.
It's you. Hey, it's funny because this whole process with both Matthew Lillard and with you, it was like, what do you want? Whatever you like. No, whatever you like. No, whatever you like. It was full Coming to America. Whatever you like. And I'm like, no, what do you want to do? Yeah. So it all worked out. Again, like I mentioned before, to me, it's always fascinating when people choose to play.
Sure.
Obviously in D&D you get some of that, and of course we have all had roles that we've played in these fantasy arenas that came to like really mean a lot to us. But it's there's some blocks between you and that person, in the world of darkness all of that's taken away.
Right.
So it is always fascinating to me, like what someone chooses to play and why they choose to play it. And on my Discord and in my Patreon games, I mentioned to you before, I've been doing this for almost a year now. The number one clan is Malkavian.
Really?
There's more Malkavians than anything else.
I think they like the escapism within the escapism. I like that they can justify ridiculous actions. I think that they like the unhinged. There's a reason why people like Joker and Harley Quinn, and it's not just because they look cool. I think it's that idea of the world is absurd, the world is a joke, and what if someone could rip off the veil of that? What if you could point it out? And there is a cool aspect to that I think people really like. And that's not to say that every Malkavian is cool, because some of them are most definitely not. But I think that there's a lot of appeal there to people about those kinds of characters. And the fact that even amongst the clans of vampires, these are rule breakers. These are troublemakers in a way that other clans would be disciplined far more for their, transgressions. Yeah.
But in their own unique way, they have the clearest perception of the truth of things.
Right.
Like that parable of the elephant, like they're the only ones that really understand, even if they're incapable of expressing to you their understanding. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's get down into to Flynn's life here.
Yeah, man.
This is it is Los Angeles. It is April 26th, which is a Sunday. It has been raining a little bit over the past few weeks, and it's just started to part and the heat is returning. And so there's actually an odd mugginess outside, even in the night air as you awake. There is one tiny bit of housekeeping we have to tend to right out of the gates, and that is checking your hunger when you wake up for the evening.
And this is different in 5th edition, right?
This is different in 5th edition, yes. Yeah. Which, again, even though you've been playing since the beginning, I think this is your first time playing 5th edition, right?
It is,
right.
Yeah.
So but feel free to ask any questions, stop me anytime. I think you'll find the game is very similar, though.
Yeah.
So do you have the actual vampire dice, or is that a numbered die?
I have just a number die, yeah.
Okay, so roll that, and if it is a 1 to a 5, that is a failure. A 6 through a 10 is a success.
I got a 3.
So you wake up a little bit hungrier. The beast is already starting to drive you into action. The way this is going to work practically is when you are assembling your dice pools, you are going to replace 2 of the black dice with 2 red dice.
Got it. So I've got 2. Yeah.
Exactly. The way this works is the higher your hunger gets, the more likely the beast is going to come out in ways you don't intend. But
nice. So you can still succeed at a roll.
Oh yes.
But those dice alter how it happens, or
so there's two things, and on the official dice it's easy to see. There's one face that's a little skull.
Okay.
And there's one face that is an ankh with some fangs on it there.
Look at your classy dice.
I mean, hey, I'll bust out the level up dice over here in a second. We'll go full pinky up here. It's so
hold on. I've got I don't know if you can see this. I've got the Malkavian clan glass from back in the day, the goblet.
Props.
Stacy found this in the basement somewhere, packed in a box. I was like, "You
tell Stacy I will run a game for you guys. You can bring back those old characters if you want. Like you can live it again. Like it's I'm in. So the way it works is that the blood dice is only bad if you get a 1 on the blood dice and you have no other successes. That's what's called a bestial fail. In terrible, and by terrible, I mean wonderful for me.
Oh yeah,
things happen.
Storyteller, manna from heaven. Yeah,
exactly. The other thing that happens if you get a 10 on that blood dice. So the way you crit in this system is you get 10s on 2 dice. That's what constitutes a crit. Okay. If one of those dice is a blood die, it is called a messy critical. Okay. So the beast comes out and helps you in ways that you might not have intended. The example I always give is maybe you're trying to pick a lock, you roll the messy crit, and you just break the door handle.
As
the
you
lock's
do.
open, but now somebody walking by is going to see the handle's broken. Like you've got a different set of problems, even though you succeeded.
That's cool. I quite like that mechanic. It's like a storyteller version of like advantage, disadvantage almost in a way.
Yeah, well, really what the difference is, especially for people that have played the game in the past, is in the old game, especially you kids who've just come along with us recently, you used to have something called blood points. You actually had a certain amount of power to expend. And now you've got the blood dice. And it took the emphasis away from resource management to risk management.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, if I use these powers, am I going to get hungry? If I get hungry, or is that going
to? It used to be like just check off.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not that anymore. It's not that anymore. Yep.
Cool.
So, Flynn, you wake up for the evening. Again, the beast already stirring inside your chest, and you can feel the heat coming in through the window already. Your apartment is small, but you got a great location. Tell me about where Flynn lives.
So I don't know LA as well as you do. So you tell me about in terms of what neighborhood would be advantageous to kindred existence in current LA. But I've got a relatively enviable apartment that I picked up from, let's say, subletted from someone, and they have subletted, and they're not going to be asking for the rent anytime soon. Let's put it that way. So I keep a low profile. The rent gets paid through direct deposit, and I just go about my business. And if people wonder about my day to day, they don't say anything. They just think I work the night shift or do something. So quiet.
Couple of blocks off the main Hollywood strip, off of Sunset, there are a number of apartments that would fit that exact description.
Cool.
We'll say that we'll say you live somewhere on Fountain.
Nice.
And you live in a nice apartment building that you could tell was probably top flight in the 60s. Now is decidedly retro and vintage, but from here you can very easily get anywhere. Cool. And yes, in the time that you've been here, there's a revolving door of up and coming wannabe actors, aspiring starlets, and people just as likely to be on the downslope of it, of this bitterness is starting to set in, and the belief that they're never going to make it is just sort of consuming these people alive. And it's almost like you see it like it's its own little recycling bin of these fresh-faced people that come in, get chewed up, and just sort of their drained husk kind of tumble out the other side. And this is a sequence of events you've seen happen many times. While you're collecting yourself there, you hear,
I am not used to getting visitors at my actual apartment. So I'm going to creep over to the door and check the camera and see who's knocking. Hopefully not that they won't hear me shuffling about.
When you go out and you check the camera, there's a raccoon sitting in front of your door.
That knock did not sound like a raccoon knock.
It definitely sounded heavier and higher than a raccoon, yes. but it's a raccoon sitting there looking at you.
Looking up at the the.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I will wait and see if they knock again and if the raccoon's doing the knocking or if someone else has just put it there as a distraction.
As you wait a couple of minutes looking here, you hear from a window.
Oh, my sealed off windows. Okay. I'm like, oh, I'm getting played here. I'm getting a little bit paranoid. I'm paranoid in general, and this is uncool on all sorts of levels. All right. So now I'm going to grab a couch cushion, sort of go over to the window that I heard the knocking at, and I'm just going to creep it open.
You see outside sitting on the window is a gigantic raven. It is one of the biggest birds you've ever seen. And it looks right at you. And then with its beak, it right there on the window.
I will slowly open the window a crack, and I'm going to be like, you better have a good explanation for this. I'm not taking visitors.
You see that while it sits there, as you actually give me your wits and awareness. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a number of dice equal to your wits and a number of dice equal to your awareness. And remember, you're going to replace two of them.
I got a good pool going, so that's 6.
You do have a good pool for this, yes. And remember to replace 2 of those dice with the blood dice.
Okay. So, and 6 and up is success,
6
right?
and up is a success. And again, if you get 2 10s on any dice, let me know.
I've got 3 successes. Do ones take away successes?
They do not. And there's also no more exploding dice either. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 3 successes, 7, 8, and 9.
As you sort of like, you better have a good explanation for this. You notice just in the trees, everything is just staring at you. There's pigeons, squirrels, a lot of creatures. And even as you kind of like tilt your eyes just slightly, because again, you've got this all blocked off. As you look down along, there's even like a cat that is down there looking at you. Somebody walks by with their dog, and the dog very clearly cranes its head and looks at you as they walk by. And none of these creatures are making a peep. They're all just staring at you.
I'm looking at them all now, just sort of getting a bunch of eye contact. I'm just going, this does not work well for an act of secrecy.
On the front door again.
Mm-hmm. You shoo, 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 shoo. Shoo, shoo, shoo. And so I'm going to go over to the door and I'll be like, look on the camera.
Shoo. The bird continues talking as you walk away. You see
close that window.
Large man in with his back turned in what looks like an army surplus coat with a hood up over his head and his back turned to the door. He's huge. He's almost the size of the door itself. He's nearly 7 foot tall and nearly as wide across, just a block.
All right, I will unlatch the door and then just open it up and I'll be like, are all those yours out there?
When you crack it just a little bit, the raccoon squeezes through and runs into your house. But the man doesn't move. And he goes, Flynn, buddy.
I am not your buddy. I do not know you. We are not acquaintances. I am not aware of your countenance or reputation.
You don't know me, buddy, but I know you. I know you. And he pushes the hood back and he turns around. And this is a face that you've seen before. The person you've paid as an informant. He looks clearly homeless. He's filthy. Couple of days of stubble. Hasn't shaved in a while. He's got rings under his eyes that are as much filth as they are fatigue, and he's wearing a fingerless gloves over jet black fingernails. Despite his appearance, he actually doesn't particularly smell terrible. He just smells a little stale, and he's got many layers of clothing stacked up that is completely inappropriate for heat like this.
You could have called. You could have slipped a note under the door. You don't need to. I don't want people physically here.
Oh, you didn't like my calling cards that I sent out there?
No,
You know, I mean,
no.
Hey, fellas, hey, he don't like y'all. And when he says that, all of the birds, oh, you better apologize. Hey, if you don't apologize, they are gonna shit all over your car like an Ansel Adams painting. All right, like I mean, you should like really like go and like make amends with that wildlife out there.
I don't have a car, and I don't need your engagement here. Are you coming in? Are we going out? Can we leave this area?
It's up to you. I mean, like I'd like to come in if we could just parlay inside. You know, you still got that like Pilates cutie that like live down at the end of the hall.
You're not talking about my neighbors. You're not looking at my domicile. You're not. No. Okay. So I open the door and I'm just sort of like come in quickly.
He does kind of like come in. He does not at all walk with the velocity that you're trying to usher him. And he walks with heavy footfalls. And you look down, he's got like heavy combat boots on, like military grade cargo pants. And as you first whip your head around, you see the raccoon is holding your cell phone and also one of your blood bags.
Don't put that down. Put both. No, one. It's good. Okay. Could you? What's his name? What is this all about?
Excuse me. That is Princess. She is a lady. You must respect her, please. And her.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So I'm going to go over to the raccoon and just be like, "We're not doing this. We're not having this thing. You're a visitor. I'm talking to a raccoon. You are a visitor. You're gonna. Do you sit or do you play fetch? Give me the fucking phone.
All right, Princess. All right, we got to respect the man's domicile. All right, and then you see the raccoon does just sort of furrow its brow a little bit and just holds up both the phone and the blood bag to you.
One, and just sort of put them in my pockets or whatever.
Wherever in this place is your seat, wherever you would spend the most time, this man walks over and just plops down.
This could not be more obnoxious.
Yeah, I pride myself on that. I do. But hey, look, man, I'm here to help you.
Define help.
All right. So you clearly don't remember that we have dialogued on occasion.
No, I know that we have, but it was out there, not in here.
No,
I've got this like very kind of cold.
You are hard to locate. Do you know how many animals I had to talk to in this neighborhood to find you? Like
don't want to be located.
All right. Okay. Then I guess you don't want to know what I know about that thing you're looking into. That's all right. Hey, Cupcake, it's fine. If he don't want to know, he don't want to know. And he does like dramatically stand up.
No, but you could have contacted me better, different, appropriately.
Hey, look, buddy. Can't nobody hack it like this, right? Can't nobody hack it. Can't nobody intercept it. I would have sent it via like homing pigeon, but you wouldn't have listened to him again. And I apologize to you all for my rude associate in here. Okay.
Zen, quiet, focus.
Hey, no, I'm cool, buddy. I'm like,
tell me. I speak to many people, and I speak at length about the big picture. What piece are you bringing me?
The raccoon.
And what do you want for it?
the raccoon crawls up his leg and actually like sits on his shoulder, and he just kind of like idly like scratches its chin. He's like, yeah, but that's the thing. And I realize like I know you like see things different or whatever, but you don't realize like there's like a big chunk of the puzzle that you ain't seeing, you know? Like again, you didn't even know that like my like raccoon friend here, that my animals, that they already had eyes on you, buddy. There's all
Mhm.
kinds of things that you don't even notice. But all right, let me go back to the beginning. Since clearly I feel like we might have not been as familiar with one another as I thought we were at this stage in our relationship. I am Stu of Clan Gangrel. I know things, and
I know you know.
I looked into things for you, and I got some information for you. And he does pull out a like manila envelope and holds it up and puts it down on the table.
And what advantage do you bring to yourself by giving this to me?
That is a good question. That is a good question. So here's the thing: reputation's everything, right?
Mhm.
Uh, you asked me to look into a thing. I have brought you that information. Now, I would like to assist you in this matter because everybody knows that like Flynn the Finder's got his finger on the pulse of things. They say other shit about you, but I ain't here to insult you in your own home. But people know that you are a competent investigator.
Yes.
And it behooves me to have it known that I am as well.
So you want me to tell people Stu is a capable comrade of high quality information gathering. That
Yeah,
you are of particular that you can find it with the best of them.
yeah, but when you say it like that, it sounds like it's bullshit, you know? Like Zool does this to me too. Like Zool's a fucking cop. He's one of you Malkavians too, you know? And he's like, Stu, I need a tip on this. Like shake
I
down
am
the
not
streets, and then I do it, and then like they don't like, come on, man. You know, like that is what okay. I would feel, I would think, I would surmise that you moon children would be a little more sympathetic to looking down on other clans. That's all I'm saying.
I don't look down on you because you are taller than I am. First of all. Second of
That-
all, I
that's
don't
very
look down on you, or I am not one of those Malkavians. You're putting a broad brush on a very nuanced palette.
he looks at the raccoon and the raccoon looks at him and the raccoon just shakes his head no, and he's like, Cupcake ain't convinced, brother. But look in the envelope.
I'll
Look what
reach down and grab the envelope, and I'm going to pick it up and very carefully, and I go, "It are you just dropping this off?"
I told you I want to help you with it in this matter.
Okay, I'm going to pop the envelope.
And when he's looking at you, he's like, no, trust me, it's good. You sometimes if you got to get your hands dirty. And when he says that, you see out of his hand 5 very long, sharp claws appear. Out of his black fingernails grow out into 5 animalistic claws.
Yep.
Yeah, see? And I apparently have access to a resource that you don't got, which is the wildlife of Los Angeles. And let me tell you, there are some very well-informed wildlife in this metropolitan area.
I have no doubt. What's in the envelope?
Uh he you when you look at it, it is a couple of pictures of people that you'd been on the trail of, that you think are part of it. But this time they are walking into buildings that are all owned by the same man, Mr. Wilkerson Vendome.
Have I heard that name before?
You have. You think he is the mastermind of an entire criminal organization that is taking place right here in Hollywood right now that nobody knows. And you deeply suspect
He's
he
part of the
is,
deeper secret.
yes, and that he's responsible for what happened to your car and that he's responsible for what happened to your friends.
Mm.
But he's so plugged in you can't get to him. You need something to nail that guy. And you see another man by the name of Herman Hoover. He is walking into what on the front of the building looks like it is a staffing agency.
Okay.
And then the last piece of paper in there is a crumpled up power bill for that address. And you actually give me either your wits and awareness or your wits and technology, whichever one of those things is higher.
I'm grabbing a scrap sheet of paper here because I need to write some names down. So you said Wilkinson was the one, right?
One of the joys of technology is I can drop this in our chat here. So it is Wilkerson Verdome is who you believe is the band.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the other one was
Herman Hoover. And it looks like he's going into a staffing agency, but there's a power bill for the staffing agency. We're going to see what you're able to deduce.
And what was the role you wanted?
Actually, I'm looking at your sheet here. Give me your wits, either your wits and give me your wits in technology.
Wits in technology is 5, and I'm still using the blood dice in there too.
You're gonna until you feed, that number only goes up. Yep.
I've got 2 successes. One of them's on the blood die, but it's just an 8.
Okay. You looking at this just cursory because it is very crumpled and smudged. Mm-hmm. There's some sort of stain on it that you really don't want to think too much about what it might be. Mm. But you do realize the power bill for this staffing agency is about 5 times higher than it should be. A lot of power is going into this building.
Wow. Have you been to this address, Stu?
I mean, I got close enough to take the photographs enclosed. Yeah.
These are your photographs.
I mean, now that your photographs.
No, I know that, but I'm actually impressed. You've got a pretty good composition here. What I notice is the way you framed it. There's a sense of depth, foreground, midground, background. The light and darkness, the chiaroscuro is actually quite compelling. I'm impressed with your ability to stage this in a dramatic and informative fashion. Have you done photography before?
Yeah, that cupcake. I got good quesadilla in my photography. That's good. That's beautiful. Yeah.
I just think I thought you got these from somewhere else. Maybe you'd procured them through another source. I did not realize that you yourself had the eye for a strong composition. That speaks to your quality of character.
He starts rummaging through his pockets. And again, he sort of unzips the top jacket and then even the second one and kind of reaches inside. And again, he's clearly a big person. You can tell by his hands, but all these layers make him seem almost bear-like as he's rummaging through. And he pulls out what would have been, again, high technology in the late 70s, handheld camera that you realize that has film that you would have to develop in a dark room somewhere. And he's like, yeah, you know, it don't run out of batteries, it don't get hacked. Even if I lose it, they don't know what to do with it. Who knows how to develop film no more, right?
I like it. It's good. Okay. So
hey, all right.
Now we've got something. We've got some information. We've got a lead. I would have preferred to meet in a neutral locale, but this is good. This is good. So what we'll do is I'll take care of this. I'll look into it. I'll investigate.
Wait. Let me sweeten the pot. Let me sweeten the pot a little bit. You let me in on this. I'm gonna give you one more important piece of information. I just want to help. Like, again, you know, like I am of use, Flynn, as are my associates, but I
don't know as much as so my character's obsession, I guess we'll sort of reveal a little bit about this. He needs to find the big secret. And when he was still immortal, he was looking for the big secret, which ended up being, oh, by the way, there are fucking vampires everywhere and they're going to turn people. And then he found it, but something cracked because he was embraced by a Malkavian. He doesn't know who his sire was. He cracked, and the last thing he remembers is that he was looking for the big secret. And so it's now like a feedback loop. Being a vampire can't be the big secret because he knows what it is. So there has to be a deeper, bigger secret. And so he is like kind of conspiracy theorist, but in the abstract. And he can't stop searching for things and compiling information and being insanely secretive about it.
Well, the good news
that's his crazy
is there are more secrets. Actually, let me say one thing that I didn't clearly say. If you have any questions for Mr. Jim Zub, put them in chat. Just write a capital question in front of it. At one point, we'll take a little break. After the break, we'll take some more questions. But again, just write the word question all in caps. Write what you would like to know.
So so that's kind of the good thing is that this obviously plays into all of his obsessive qualities, but he's also quite paranoid about his own security and about keeping, not leaving a trail. So this also sets off a bunch of his paranoia about, why are you in my place? Why are you staring at me? Why are you letting people outside this apartment know that this apartment is something weird? And so he can't let that go. So I'm going to use Scry the Soul to just get a sense of this guy on the up and up. I mean, we're all a little something, but is he actually interested in helping me, or am I being used more than normal?
Well, let's roll it and see. So, okay, so a couple of things have to happen with Scry the Soul. The first thing you're going to do is make a rouse check. So you're going to roll one of these blood dice. Again, the power will work.
One die.
Yeah, it will work no matter what. You just might get hungrier in the process.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So I'm rolling. It's a 1 to 5 is bad. 6 to 10 is good.
Yep.
I keep rolling off my table here. Hold on.
4 dice don't exist.
I got a 5.
As you are looking at him, you feel the beast bubble up inside of you, Flynn. It gets claws into your brain, and you hear, Flynn, they know Flynn. How else? Why is he here? Why is he even like offering to help you? Like, what do we even know about this person? Maybe this whole thing is just a trick. Maybe this whole thing is just a trap. Maybe that's why he brought you these pictures, so that you would come there so they could get you. And then when they get you, they're never going to let you out, Flynn. They're never going to let you out, Flynn. They're never going to let you out, Flynn.
So I'm looking at him. So my power still goes off.
Oh, yes. But your hunger has increased to 3 now.
God. So these dice pools are going to get ugly.
Oh, no. They get great. However, so here's how it works. So when we actually roll it, you're still only going to roll the 2 blood dice because it's the act of using the power is what drove your hunger up.
Okay. So I only have the 2 blood dice.
3. Yeah. So you were going to roll your intelligence in your auspex.
Intelligence is only 2, but my auspex is 3. So 5 dice, 2 red.
Now, here's an important point. There is an option that you've got that is known as you can rouse the blood. So remember, in the old game, you could rouse your physical stats.
Yep.
In this game, you can rouse any of your stats. You can increase it by 1 die. However, you have to make a rouse check to do it, which could drive your hunger up to 4 if you fail. So first thing, do you want to rouse?
Yeah, I'm going to rouse because this is like setting off so much of my shit. So I need to, I can't, the stupid thing is, of course, it's the feedback loop of I can't fail, but I'm going to get hungrier if I fail. But it's like, but I can't fail. Thankfully, I made that one with a 7.
Excellent. So you do not get any hungrier, but you have 1 more intelligent die for the remainder of the scene. So basically, until you leave the house, you're going to have extra intelligence die.
So now I'm rolling all these, and I've got 1, 2, 3 successes.
All right, 3 successes. Let me check old Stu's sheet to see what he gets to do to try and resist you here.
Now, Scry the Soul is different from Aura Perception back in the day, right?
That is. Aura Perception is more like Sense the Unseen, which is an ability that you possess.
Right.
All right, hold on here. 2, 3, 4. All right. Yep.
Yeah, I've just got to get used to the terminology differences in terms of the powers and what we're using them for.
So you can ask. I'm going to give you a list of questions, of which you can ask 2 of these. Okay.
Okay.
And this is.
So, am I physically asking these, or is it mentally happening?
Yeah, but it is Flynn
Right.
is looking at Stu and extracting certain information.
Got it. Got it.
In like reading his aura and things, that is an aspect of this. It is
sure
that power.
But it's like all sorts of sensory information I'm picking up on. Yeah.
Okay. And even things that cannot be perceived,
right?
well, by normal eyes alone.
Sure, that's my jam.
You've got a couple of questions. You can ask the emotional state of the subject.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask whether he's a vampire, werewolf, ghoul, or any other supernatural being.
But I already know that. Yeah,
it seems implied. Yep. You can find out if he's under the influence of blood, sorcery, or any other magic. You can also find out if he's committed diablerie in the last year. Had you crit, there's a couple of some other things you could learn, but you did not crit. However, before we resolve this, there's another thing to share.
Okay.
You can spend a point of your willpower.
Okay.
And re-roll up to 3 of the black dice. You can do that anytime. So anytime something is very important to you, or especially if you maybe have 1 crit die and you're really trying to push it for another one, you could do that. So did you have 2 or 3 black dice that were failures there?
2 or 3 black dice that were failures. Yeah, I do have.
Roll the blood dice.
No, I have 2. I have a 2 and a 3 that were failures.
So it is up to you, really, whether or not you want to spend a point of willpower.
How many willpower have I got? I got 4 willpower.
Yeah, 4 willpower.
Yeah, sure. I'll blow one. Why not? Okay. Go for broke here.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one. I have 1 10. So if I roll another 10,
that would make crit. Mm-hmm.
And I do. So yeah.
But was the crit on one of your blood dice or on one of the all black dice?
It was on a red die. It was on a blood die.
Perfect. Perfect.
No, that's not perfect.
Oh,
Don't lie to me, Dave.
No, lean into it. Let it happen. Let it happen. Yeah. So again, asthma on it. That constitutes a messy critical. So again, you did succeed, but we will come to some of the zhizh there.
The zhizh.
So a critical win allows you to reveal something unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
And you still get to choose those from those questions that I just told you.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he is telling you the truth, that he wants to help because he wants a better reputation. He is not lying about that.
Okay.
But there is a significant piece of information that he has not told you. He knows something vital that he has not said. And in addition, again, you can know his emotional state. You can know whether he is under the influence of blood sorcery. What
is his emotional state?
He is nervous, especially because you critted there. He really is hoping you say yes. Like he really wants this. He wants this to happen. Yeah.
And is he being influenced by any blood sorcery or any other kind of outside stuff?
He is not.
So this is him being him, essentially, as far as I can tell.
In as much as you can tell, yep. So to be clear, he has not lied to you, but he by no means has told you everything, and that he knows something important that he has not said.
Right. So I'm looking at him really, really intently.
That's where the messy crit comes in. You almost, despite yourself, get very much physically in his bubble.
Oh, like good.
Very much.
This giant gangrel. Oh my God. And I'm like just this little spindly dude with wild hair. And I'm just like, hey, I'm going to intimidate your ass. Yeah, that's not happening.
I mean, it's like when the badgers charge grizzly bears, and they're like, You tell me what Flynn does is the beast comes up and kind of like makes you a little too enthusiastic. What does Flynn do?
So I've still got that blood bag in my hand. So it just bursts. Like I'm just like, boom, it just like explodes.
Oh,
and I don't even notice it because I'm so focused. I don't feel the spray. I don't see it. It like shoots across my eye. It's all in my hair. It's going all over the room. And now it's dripping out of my hand. And I'm like, we can only do this with trust. Trust, Stu. Trust, 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 trust.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 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 All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. One more thing. One more thing. That is true. I did not tell you everything, but you know, you keep an ace up your sleeve because you're like, now how much would you pay? Like, okay.
So you know how when you have like a freezy and at the end of it, you're sucking out the juice? I'm just like just sucking out the bag, but I'm pretending this isn't happening. Like I'm still staring at him while I'm just like pulling the bag and there's just all the blood sort of pouring in.
Okay. Okay. All right. Remember your little Pilates hottie at the end of the hallway?
That's not her name.
She ain't no Pilates hottie.
Mm-hmm.
They put her here to keep an eye on you.
Of course they did. Of course they did. How did you find that out?
I mean, you know, like a magician don't reveal his secrets, you know what I mean? It's like, she has a very, very talkative parakeet in there. It's amazing what, again, everybody overlooks the animals. You ask them the right questions, they tell you everything.
Okay. Cool. Huh. So this building you took the photos of, do you know what the building is used for?
If I had to wager a guess, what I would intuit from that power bill there is they probably got some kind of pretty big server farm going in there. Because in my experience, when you
information. This is the problem with people now. They keep too many records. I mean, it's good, bad for them, good for us. You know?
You can't hack no raccoon.
You can't hack a raccoon. You can't hack a raccoon. Okay. So Sherry at the end of the hall is watching us.
She watching you. She ain't watching me.
Me. Okay. I will. We don't want to let on about that just yet, but I need to know a little more. I need to get her a sense of what's driving that vehicle. Okay. How about you meet me in 2 hours? You meet me in 2 hours down in the parking lot. And then we'll go take a closer look at this building, Stu. We'll take a look at the building, not with the camera. A camera can only see on the reflection of a lens, Stu. It's a veneer of reality. It's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not what's underneath, you know?
Okay. I love this. Now, important question here. OC, are you lying to him? Do you intend to dump him, or are you telling the truth that you intend to meet him in 2 hours?
I haven't decided yet because I need to figure out what Sherry's doing, and I can't have her stay in the building watching me because now I'm friggin' paranoid.
He is using his own insight to read you. So, yes, it is true that your plan can change, but in this exact second, does Flynn mean that I will meet you in 2 hours, or does he not?
Is there can I resist, or is
you absolutely can? It's either going to be your charisma and your persuasion if you're telling the truth, or your manipulation and subterfuge if you are lying.
Because I don't know, I'm gonna have to go manipulation subterfuge because I don't know for sure what my choice will be. So that's 6 dice, and now I'm rolling with 3 red dice.
Now you're rolling with 3. There wasn't enough left in the blood bag to get your hunger down.
Oh baby. All right. 3 successes, but weirdly all on my regular dice, none on my blood dice. Just total luck of the draw there.
He just sort of looks at you and he goes, "Okay, okay, 2 hours."
Set your watch by it.
And he stands up and he looks like he's about to extend his hand to shake it, and looks down at your bloody hand and then just goes like, cleanliness is next to godliness, you know, like wiping on his dusty check.
Oh, you do have a watch, don't you?
I mean, you ain't gotta be like insulting, okay? Like I am
No, but not one of those smart watches, not one of those internet connected watches.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna love this. Hold on a second. And he pushes his sleeve back and he's got a very old Rolex, and he's like, "It's my father's watch. It's back from before the war. It's nice, right?"
Oh, it's very nice.
Yeah, yeah. It never misses a beat, as it were.
Mm.
And he stands up and he's like, "All right, 2 hours.
2 hours.
Downstairs."
Actually, now 1 minute 57. 1 hour 57 minutes.
You see, as he's walking, his heavy footfalls become much lighter. Like you hear this, like boom, and the floor creak, 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 and then it just stops, even as you're looking at him.
Hmm.
And he opens the door and he looks out slightly and lets the raccoon run out. And he waits for a second and then slips out the door and closes it behind him. And that is actually a place for us to take a little break.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, so we'll do super deluxe. We'll do 12 minutes here. We'll come back at 40 minutes after for wherever you are, because different people in different places, and we will jump back in here.
Awesome.
See you in a minute. And we are back here with the illustrious, the beautiful, Jim Zub here.
It's the mane of hair that is growing out of control. If the only other stream that people have seen was me playing Minsk at D&D Live, this is like quite the revelation of
that is true. Like you're far more aerodynamic that day. The VOD is up. It is the two of us, Matt Mercer, Anna Proser, Deborah Ann Wall, Mika Burton.
It was so crazy. It was so much fun. It was Descent session 4. I think it was the last one.
Yeah. Where we were beset by technical issues, but it's all together in the VOD. You know,
it was so much fun though. That was on my birthday too. That was the crazy
birthday. Yeah, no, some wild things happened there. Like definitely good luck going in your favor. So we did get a couple of questions. I want to answer real quick. Said, seeing that you've LARPed in the past, what do you foresee as the future of LARPing in this new world of social distancing if it continues longer than we expect? That's a very interesting question.
That is a good question. I think, I don't know that LARP in that sense is going to be different from online play. I think you're going to get larger groups, but it's going to be sort of clustered. If you wanted to try and run an event, I think the technology is eventually going to allow us to do this thing where we might have large group kind of announcements. And then if you had multiple storytellers, you could almost go off to your own room and run your own scenes like we did in the LARP anyways. There were multiple storytellers. They would have the big kind of group events. So, the prince would make some pronouncement or some dramatic stuff would happen up on stage. And then we would all go off into our own little clusters and do clan business or confrontations on the street or stuff like that. So I think you could do a digital equivalent of that. It would be tough, obviously. You're playing with so much technology, people's connectivity and their microphones and their all that stuff. You're creating distance in a way that LARP is not necessarily built for. One of the things I loved about the game was the immediacy of it. I loved being in costume because it made it so easy to role play, because you weren't just imagining it, you were trying to feel it. You're trying to put yourself into that character in a way that at the time it was easy to feel, I think at first embarrassed, but when you had 40, 50 other people doing it at the same time, it sort of frees you up from any of those feelings, you know what I mean? And because the environment made a huge difference too, being in a goth club. So you've got the lighting and you've got the like the environment, the atmosphere and the mood.
And the Bloodlines dance.
It was so awesome. And it made it feel much cooler. It was a neat experience. It was for like a good year and a half I was playing, and we played So it ran twice a month. So it would be Tuesdays twice a month, but then they would have on the interleaving weeks, we would have what we call downtime. People would just meet up for drinks and coffees and stuff like that. And you would talk about the business because the world was running in real time. So 2 weeks was 2 weeks. That was supposed to be the Elysium that was happening every 2 weeks. So in the interleaving time, you would be doing politics, or you would be manipulating governments, or moving, pieces of the puzzle. It was interesting because there was all sorts of discussions at the time. This tells you exactly when it's taking place. This is 1994. Oh God, I'm so old. The internet was not everywhere, in fact, it was just sort of coming into its own, 94, 95 in particular, 95 into 96. And there was discussion about whether or not it was fair for people to email each other and set up game stuff, because a lot of people didn't have a regular internet connection. Some of them didn't have email addresses at all. So was it fair? So eventually the storytellers decided that the Nosferatu could all email each other because they had an information network, and that was how that worked. But that the rest of us had to play stuff. Nothing over email counted. You could schedule a time to meet up with a storyteller during downtime, but you had to run scenes live in order for them to count. That was sort of the weird dichotomy of it. It was a different time, man.
That is definitely wild. And I remember those days vividly. Yeah, even now on my Patreon, out of my Patreon player community, patreon.com/bdavewalters. We have a Discord with almost 150 players. And I drew very heavily on Matthew Dawkins with the Vampire the Masquerade YouTube experiment a couple years ago, where they played via YouTube. And what's interesting is we've tried a couple of times setting up live rooms where it's like people can like log in and interact with each other in character in those spaces. And believe it or not, it's like people love the live games, like playing with me. They love the Discord, the play-by-post. People write these beautiful poetic novels, hundreds, thousands of words every day. Like it's going 24 hours a day. Not so much the video things. Not so much they even voice chat a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a particular, not everyone's comfortable with that. And as much as you might say, oh, it's the same as if we were sitting across from a table, it's not. There is a performative aspect that you have to kind of put on. I think any of the people who do streaming, this professional gamer kind of label, people expect a certain level of polish and theatrics that your average person may not do at the table every time, or feel that much more pressure and embarrassment if they try to do it and everyone else isn't doing it. Like I watch Mercer and those guys go for the gusto when they're running the games and doing the sound effects and the big crazy stuff. It's like, I've done that in my own home games, but not all the time. Sometimes it's a real low key kind of affair, but that doesn't play well in that performative aspect as much, So you are, it's like I'm role-playing a version of myself role-playing, if that makes any sense. And
intimately.
Right? Of course you do. But
I'm like, no, that must be real rough. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I gotta be the best B. Dave Walters ever. So but on the other hand, I think you want people to be able to free themselves and have those experiences. So it's like, I find the LARP stuff, I haven't done it in years. I found it really engaging and freeing because it took away a lot of those fears of embarrassing myself or going for the gusto or doing the theatrics in that kind of way. And being in the costume and being in the environment made it that much easier to sort of unlock that, particularly at a time in my life where I didn't feel confident. In particular.
I'm just gonna say, zone of safety, no pressure here. But talk to Stacy. You guys want to bring the old licks out of retirement?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Put something together.
It was interesting because in the actual game, our characters were not tightly entwined. Like I met Stacy at that particular event, and we were in that broader community, but we didn't start dating until many, many years later. And I actually, a friend of ours who also I met at the LARP, not reintroduced us, but made a point of saying I was single many, many years later, I had actually moved away from Toronto, worked a bunch of jobs, moved across Canada, and had come back to Toronto, had a really vicious breakup, was feeling really, really low, and was like, no more dating, no more relationships. I'm just going to get my own self together. And this friend of mine, this guy, his name is Guy. So I always say this guy, his name is Guy. This guy says to me, I think you and Stacy would really, make a good pairing. And I was like, I have known her for a long time and she has never shown any interest in me. And he's like, well, maybe you just haven't been paying attention. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, like that can't possibly be. And so we would have, housewarming parties or social events, and I would see her there. And he started driving home this idea of, hey, you two should talk. Hey, come on. So at one point he literally comes over to me, and says, come over here for a sec. I was like, okay. And he goes, have you met Stacy King? And of course he knows I know her. And then he just walks away and goes, oh, and walks away. And I was like, we looked at each other and we go, he's such an asshole. And so we started bonding over our friend Guy is trying too hard to make something happen. And the more we chatted and then hung out, and then I had to apologize to him at my wedding. So, it all works out okay.
So both your aunt. Okay. All right. So if your aunt is mentor.
Yeah.
And you're Telemachus. I don't know. Is he Odysseus? Because you had to come back to I'm gonna fit all these pieces in. But shout out to Guy. Shout out to Guy.
He's a good dude. He's a good role player too. He's a lot of fun. He's awesome.
It's it's he's definitely owed a fruit basket or
nice.
something.
It's so funny too. Like I think I'm hoping a bunch of the people that I used to play with will at some point watch this stream, or maybe some are watching now or whatever, and it would be this crazy thing where look what you've done. The person that I portrayed in that game that people were like, oh, Jim is funny and Jim is witty and Jim is confident, that was someone that I aspired to be. And he was this Malkavian character who was kooky and strange, but it was also a way for me to just sort of push through a lot of those fears about that thing we talked about, reinventing yourself. You know what I mean? And the more that I did that, the more I realized I could take whatever pieces I wanted from that character and make them me, because they were me. They were always me the whole time. And that I could be just as confident, and one of the weirdest feelings would be more and more of us that were playing the game got into the club culture in Toronto at that goth club. We would go on weekends and we would dance and we would hang out. And it was like something out of a movie. Like it was all the cool kids and the leather and latex and the whole 10 yards. It was very gothy and ridiculous. And at first that would be the kind of thing that you would see in a movie, or I would see in the vampire books, and I'd be like, wouldn't that be cool? And then all of a sudden I would be going on a weekend and it's like somewhere between, goth club and Cheers. Like everyone knows your name and all these people are like really great. And the bartender, he plays one of the Primogen and he's your buddy, and everyone's cool. But the funniest thing was, you're going to love this story. I got to do it real quick.
No, lay it on us.
Those two guys that I was supposed to come to the game with, remember I told you about them, that they never came? I never told them I went to the game. So for months and months and months, I was going to the LARP and like gaining confidence and like becoming, this other person, this whole other social circle. We're talking about like 50, 60 people I was interacting with at the clubs and on the thing. And these other guys had no idea. We were still just sort of doing our own dorky thing. And then the game moved to a different bar, and that bar was owned by one of the players. And it was just like, okay, here we go. And then it was insane. So we're downtown Toronto, and one of my buddies, one of the two guys, his name was Mark. He was like, oh, we should go to this club over here. It's called the Savage Garden. And that was where the game was being run at that point. And I was like, if you want to. And so we go into the place, and I'm trying not to look at anyone or have anyone interact with me, because the vast majority of the people who work there, all the staff, they all know me, the security all knows me or whatever. We just go in the door, we grab a booth, and I just sort of tuck down behind in the booth, and it says high back chairs or whatever. My buddy Mark is looking past me, and he goes, oh my God, there's this incredibly attractive woman she's coming around. Just wait. You'll see her. She's going to come past you. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm drinking a beer. And all of a sudden, one of my friends comes walking by, and she is stunning. And she comes around the corner and she sees me, and she runs over and just dives into the booth and like hugs me. And she's like, oh, Jim, it's so great to see you. What are you doing here? Blah, 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 blah. And she just sits at the booth and is just going wild, talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. And my friend Mark was staring like, how? And then she just looks at me and she goes, it's my birthday on the weekend. You got to come to the party. It's going to be so great. And so-and-so's going to be there, and this and this and this and this. And she's just listing off all of our friends and all the crazy stuff and how amazing it's going to be. And make sure you're there, and I'll see you later. And she gives me this big kiss, and then she just wanders off. And my buddy Mark looks over at Ian and he goes, I don't think we know Jim at all.
It's almost like there's some sort of masquerade that you're maintaining.
It was so good. It was so good. I had almost never felt so cool in all my life. I had this secret life and all this sort of stuff. It was so hilarious and so ridiculous, but precious to me. You know, I think that the memories that we make at the gaming table are precious. I think that because they're engaging. Like, we're not just passively having a story.
It's real. It happened to you.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, you put on this mask.
Sure.
But it is your words and your actions and, you know, in events that you participate in. That's why I've said this 100 times. That is why video games will never completely replace tabletop. And I love video games.
Can't. And I do too. But there are cool aspects to them, and the ability for you to build, you know, these complex worlds. But at the end of the day, you can only have so many options. You can only pick from so many tree menu things. Do you know what I mean? And even when people mod them and do all that stuff, one of the things I love is your mind is this whirling machine trying to keep up with me, and I'm trying to keep up with you, and we're reading little signals off of each other and coming up with things. So it's like, I didn't know Flynn's voice until we started talking. I didn't know that he was going to stutter on focus words in the conversation until that seemed like a cool way to showcase his obsession. I didn't know, like, I thought he was just going to be angry at Stu for the whole conversation. And then in the moment you showed me the photograph, I had this funny idea of that he would obsess over the photograph. And then I thought, what if he liked the photograph? And then the fact that Stu took it, now their relationship is completely turned on a dime in that moment, because it was a fun, dramatic thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yep. Which, I mean, no matter how good AI gets, any of that, like, to a certain extent, it's like a machine can't do that. Because, like you said, there's a fixed number of permutations. Even if there's 100, 1,000, 10,000.
Sure.
You know, the first time that you're like, well, I walk past the wagon and I flip it over and I pull a plank off and I beat that guy to death with it.
Right.
You know, like, it's just like,
it's one of the reasons why I love bringing new people into the hobby, because they also don't come with their own preconceived notions. When you play with people for years, particularly in the same system, they build up a detritus of metagame, right? So you play in D&D and you're in a first level adventure, and they go, well, that's not going to kill us because it's a first level adventure. You know what I mean? Or, oh, that's green slime. As much as I'm supposed to be worried about the green slime, I know it can only do 1d4 or whatever, you know, get out the torch. Oops, I guess we burned it. And it's like, you don't have the tension unless you constantly shake it up or change it up. And a new player has no preconceived notions. One thing I would run for my friends' games in college, and they would like react so honestly to things. They would be freaked out by the most mundane of elements because they don't know they're not supposed to be. And that's a good thing, you know, or they're willing to negotiate with anybody and anything because getting into a fight is not the default scenario. Do you
Which
know
is
what I
funny
mean?
because I'm on the show now, Roll in the Family, The Slumbering Forest, where I'm playing with my two girls and other
Oh,
kids are playing in it with us. And it's
nice.
just exactly that, like
Yep.
seeing
Yep.
their reactions to things and their approaches to problem solving and stuff. And it's like it's not just because you're kids, it's like
No.
you just said, like you haven't learned to be a murder hobo yet. You
Right. And it's so
know?
great. I
Yeah.
love those interactions because even if you have other experienced people at the table, it kind of tilts their point of view and they suddenly realize, oh, yeah, right. We have all the options available to us, not just magic missile and or backstab or whatever, you know.
And you see, but you see the transition go across all of their faces where they're like, I'm afraid, but I'm a hero.
Yeah,
So like let's go. And then when they win, it's like their joy is so pure. Like in the
it's
first episode,
incredible.
we fought this big, it was a shambling mound, but they didn't know it was this like giant tree horror thing. And we're all beating on it. And one of the girls is playing a wizard, and she hits it with a magic missile and drops it right. And
Right.
when Brennan describes the thing dying, she literally goes, "Yay, I did it!" And I'm like, "Keep that for the rest of your life.
That is why we do this. You know,
Keep that for the rest of your
so
life."
when I started playing role-playing games, I was 8 years old. My brother was 12. 4 years doesn't sound like a lot between two people, but it was half my life when I'm 8. And when you're 12, you don't want to hang out with your 8-year-old younger brother. So I think Joe had his own friends and I had my friends, but I desperately wanted to be like the older boys. And so our older cousins showed us D&D, and Joe started running games, and it became a touchstone for us to communicate with each other. And the fact that I could sit at the table with those older boys, and on my turn, I get to tell you what I'm doing. And if I made them laugh or I did something memorable, I was the coolest person I could imagine in that moment. It meant so much to me. It gave me a voice. And, you know, nowadays people are like, shut up, you talk too much. But at the time, that was not the case. I was much more afraid, you know? And so it's really special to me. And I've said it in 100 interviews now, a broken record, that I wouldn't be a writer without role-playing games, particularly D&D.
Oh, same.
It taught me to entertain. It taught me to build stories and characters and to improvise. You know, we talked at the start about that your ability to problem solve is such a huge part of this creative industry, right? When I'm working with clients, it's a form of role playing. I'm trying to understand them and trying to interact with them in a way that is me, but a better version of me. When I'm writing characters, I'm known for writing a lot of team books. You know, I've written Champions and Thunderbolts and Avengers. I am, what would Captain America do? You know, what would the Scarlet Witch, what would any of these characters do in this circumstance? What feels appropriate and entertaining in this moment? So when I'm making character dialogue, I'm not just trying to, there are some writers who've gotten a reputation for just steamrolling every character with their version of dialogue, that they all write them the same. They're all as if the one character, you could take any line of dialogue and crisscross the tales and it wouldn't matter because they're all whatever, the writer's style. And one of the things I really pride myself on is that if the Scarlet Witch said that, Wanda says it the way Wanda says it. And even if it was the same thing happening, Hank McCoy, the Beast, would not say it that way. And Jericho Drum, you know, Brother Voodoo wouldn't say it that way. And any of those characters, that they speak in a manner appropriate to themselves. And Flynn the Finder speaks in a particular way that's appropriate to him. You know what I mean? And he doesn't talk like my other White Wolf characters. And that's a good thing. That's what's going to define him, you know, as we go forward. So.
That's why he's him.
Right.
Show me this one last thing before we dive back into Flynn's life.
Sure.
You had a little something there on the desk.
Oh,
there.
More of the limited edition stuff. We were nerding out on old White Wolf. So this is the limited edition Werewolf.
Yep.
It's another beauty. Yeah, these
the
books are
the cover. Oh yeah,
they're gorgeous, man. Those first edition books, they were unlike anything else in the industry at the time. Like the artwork was so moody and badass, and they just instantly summoned up this atmosphere. There are parts of D&D that did that for me, particular artists that did that for me. You know, probably the most potent ones, like I think of Ravenloft. because Clyde Caldwell did all the interior artwork as well as the cover artwork of that original module, it had a cohesive look and feel, and the gothic horror was so cool. But there are other modules that are like every page has different art and different artists on it, and you have this weird composite D&D-ish look. And what I loved about the White Wolf books is that they felt very cohesive. They felt very lived in and moody in that way. And some of that art was so, the Tim Bradstreet ones that broke up each chapter felt just visceral and cool. And you wanted that experience to play out, you know. It was so
There's
awesome.
that, I don't know if you remember, in that book there's that like 4 or 5 page sequence of a Silver Fang fighting a Shadow Lord.
Yes.
And like all the words are around them as this like
and it tearing them apart at each. Oh my God, those were so cool. That was the thing is, and it's funny that it, you know, obviously the supernatural stuff was the goth stuff was so trendy at that point, but they were tapping into this kind of punk milieu and this feeling of frenetic kind of generational divide and energy. And I feel like one of the difficulties now is that you don't have that clear culture kind of push, that it's much more diffused over a multitude of little cultural blips. It's like trying to pin down fashion, like fashion in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, very distinctive. The 2000s,
the aughts will be very difficult to delineate. Like if anything, they are sort of the dial tone generation. You're like, what is it? I don't know what. Like,
but they seem like what it is it's every year. Oh, now it's bell bottoms. Okay, now it's gone. Now it's like they're looking backward for a season and then something else. Oh, skinny jeans, skinny ties. Okay, it's kind of 80s. Oh, big hair. Okay, but it's not its own kind of visual element that sticks for like 5-6 years, you know.
That you're like, this is clearly that. No, not since the 90s. Let me say this is one other thing. It is, well, this is how I feel, and I guess I'm asking your take on this. It is so wild and such a tremendous gift to be able to contribute some links to the continuity of these things that we love so much. Like I've now gotten to create for the D&D's continuity, for Vampire's continuity. I'm helping write Werewolf. I got to do it for Battlelords. Just all these things that I love, that it's like I get to leave a mark on, and it's like so wild. And I mean, you've done.
I got the biggest smile on my face. I can't even hide it. Isn't
it so insane?
It's a joy. You know, making one of the characters from the Legends of Baldur's Gate and the comics that I've written, he's named Crydal, and he's named after a bard character that I had when I was in high school. He's not the same character, just the name has carried through, and kind of his, you know, rogue with a heart of gold kind of personality. But the fact that that's now a canon character and he's shown up in multiple places, he's now in the Idle Champions game and stuff like that, that's insane to me. The fact that I've met some of my absolute, you know, writing and art heroes, and in theory we're peers now. Like I giggle because it's so insane to me. One of the most joyous experiences that I've had in gaming, Gen Con 50 was 2 years ago. 3 years ago.
So, yeah, 2, 3.
God, brain, right? My brother and I grew up. Yeah, my brother and I grew up obviously playing tons of role-playing games. He still plays like crazy. Literally this morning we were on Zoom talking about the Dark Ages vampire game that he wants to start running with his old university buddies.
Dark Ages is actually my favorite World of Darkness.
Oh, cool, man. He loves it. And he loves doing the historical research. He's kind of nutball about getting the facts right, you know, so he wants to just hit the mark with it. So it just sets off all of his OCD for this stuff. Crap, where was I going? Oh no, I was right in the midst of the thing I was saying.
I ruined it. No, but it's just crazy that we get to add links to this. Crydal. Yeah.
Right. So Gen Con 50, I've been going to Gen Con now for 6-7 years. I have a booth there. I share a booth with Howard Taylor and Tracy Hickman. Like, what? How does this happen? What is going on? But Joe had never been to the show, and we would always look at the old modules, the original D&D modules. Most of them were adapted from tournaments, and it would say this was originally a tournament in 1979 Gen Con or whatever. Gen Con, the idea of going to Gen Con, the idea of the Shangri-La of gaming. And so I told my brother, I said, combination Christmas and birthday present, I'm taking you to Gen Con. You're going to go to Gen Con 50. You're going to hang with me. And you're not just going to get the regular experience. You're getting an exhibitor badge. You're going to get to go to all the industry parties. You're going to have this thing. And he goes. We have the most insane weekend, and we really bond over it. He plays a ton of games. He gets a bunch of his books autographed, crumpled versions of Dragonlance. He's getting signed by Margaret and Tracy, and art prints, and going for lunch with John Kovalik. And there's just all these awesome, cool experiences. He signs up for a bunch of tournaments. We did a bunch of charity events. It was amazing. We had the best time. And every morning he's noticing I'm getting more and more tired because it's a 4-day show, and it's, you got to be on heightened. You're meeting hundreds and thousands of people, and they don't want to see you tired and bored or, hungry. They want to have a moment with you and get a book signed. And it's an absolute gift, we get to the end of the show, and he works his ass off and helps us load up all the leftover product and fold down the booth and everything else. We go for victory dinner. We have an amazing night, and we're heading to the airport. And I look over at him and I go, so you're hooked now, right? You're going to be back next year. I'm going to see you here all the time. And he looks at me and he goes, no, I don't think I'm going to come back. And I was like, what? And all of a sudden he gets tears in his eyes and he goes, it'll never be better than that. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I just sort of take for granted that I'm going to go every year, and it's an industry thing for me, and it is friendships and it is social, but it's also business, For him, it's like that crystallized moment was what he wanted, and he doesn't need the repetition. It was beautiful. It was awesome. One of my most proud moments, weirdly enough, of all the crazy things I've done, was kind of reconnecting with him and having that experience. Look at all this crazy crap and look what's happened. It was awesome.
And giving him something transcendent.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
It's cool stuff, man. That's why we do the thing.
That is literally why we do the thing, to give that to people and to each other. Yes. But that being a beautiful thing, let us talk about something that is decidedly not beautiful.
Right. Okay.
Which is Flynn.
Let's do it. Let's dig back in.
Standing in his apartment, still blood splatter in the room.
Has Stu left?
Stu departed. Stu, he stepped out the door and closed it behind him.
Okay, let me just sort of get back in the mode.
Yes. And
so he's going to do a quick, he's going to reseal the window pane thing. He's going to double check his sort of locks, tidy up a little bit, leave the blood splatter on the floor. Like mentally, he knows on some level he burst the blood bag, but he won't perceive that he did that because that's just part of the beast, and he's not addressing that at all. So he cleans up, but just right around the blood spatter, and then goes to the door, relocks everything, stares down the hallway, and then with purpose, just going to walk towards Sherry. So I came up with a name. Her name is Sherry Carlisle.
Sherry Carr, let me ask you a question. Are you going to choose to feed on any of your blood bags before you go, or are you going to keep riding hot here at 3 Hunger?
I should feed, but he wouldn't, because he's on a timeline, and because he calculated how much time everything's going to take. Mm-hmm. In his head, he's already going through the schedule. And so as a player, I know he should feed, but as a character, he's just in the moment.
Hey, maybe he should. I'm
saying optimization wise. Yeah. He's gonna beeline down that hallway. Yeah.
You make your way down the hallway with its white closed-in walls, in thick brown carpet, in harsh ultra light overhead.
That one light vibrating. Oh yeah, I get you.
As you make your way down to the door, and it's those doors that have the big button that you push in the middle with the loud bang bong. Nice. If you were to ring it, and she does have the apartment at the end of the hall. She's been here about 6 months or so. She's
Mhm.
pleasant with you enough that you got her name. She says hello when she walks by. She every time she passes through, she does look like she's on the way to a workout of some sort. The full Lululemon get up from head to toe. She's pleasant, but otherwise, you never really thought too much about her.
Okay, so I'm reaching out with the finger, getting ready to push the button, and just before I touch it, I stop and I go, no, don't be rash. And then I'm going to try and close my eyes and get a premonition of how this is going to play out.
Excellent. All right. So for premonition, you are
And the
going.
fingers just hovering over the button as I
Yes,
do so.
you are going to roll your resolve and aspects.
Dun,
I'm
dun,
going
dun.
to cut you a break here and say that it comes upon you spontaneously and not make you rouse for it.
Okay, so 3 and 3.
Yes.
Okay. We'll see. You might be kind to me, but
the chance cubes are fickle. Let's see.
I rolled real good. I got 4 successes, but
Okay.
no crit.
4 with no crit. Okay. As you stand there and you reach out to push the button, the sight comes upon you and you see all of space and time and reality sort of splay out in front of you. And you start to hear very cheerful music. Come on, guys, let's go. And you feel yourself moving through a place where people are dancing and happy and looking around. And as you're walking, they stop and they look at you as they're coming by. And you come into a room and there's an aerobics class, and you see her up at the front conducting this aerobics class, like with full pastels, and it's something right out of the 80s. People doing the workout are all SWAT officers in full tactical outfits, holding machine guns and things.
Of course they are.
Their best to like keep up with her while she's doing the thing. And when you come in, she looks at you and she goes, "Oh, hey, Flynn, join us." And all the guys turn around and point their guns at you, and you're back.
And then I recede my finger away from the button. And I'm like, Go into my pockets, pull out I've got a little pad of sticky notes and a pen. And I'm just going to write down a number from one of my burner phones. And then I'm just going to put it on the door. And then I'm going to let it go and then step away. And as I walk down the hall, I'm just sort of tapping my chin and I'm going to go, that's a later problem. That's a later problem. And just sort of walk down the hallway.
When you make your way down the hallway, where do you go?
So in my head, I had a schedule all built out for how much time this was all going to take. And then I was going to meet him in 2 hours. But now I'm short-circuited because I'm not able to carry out the schedule that I originally planned. And my paranoia won't let me ring that doorbell. So now I'm going to try and go across the road to the accompanying building, and I'm going to try and spy on that apartment where she is.
Give me your wits and awareness.
Okay. Wits is 4, awareness is 2, so 6 again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using 3 red dice every time.
3 red dice.
Yep. It's a fail, but oh yeah, I didn't roll any successes.
Did you get a 1 on any of those blood dice?
Yes.
You
like all good or all
fall. So this is what we call a bestial fail.
Or maybe I do ring that doorbell.
The show, no, this is the best thing possible.
You
Well,
should see this. This is the crappiest roll I've had in ages. It's just
no, it's the
4,
best
4,
roll.
3, 1.
It's the
Oh,
best.
that's terrible.
It's
All
the
right. All
best.
right.
Now, do me a favor first. Roll for me a numbered D10. I need a number.
Yeah, I'm just using number D10. So
Cool. Yeah,
just
I need a number.
7.
Beautiful. Okay. As you are making your way out of the apartment, Flynn, thinking about everything that happened, sort of running the timetable through, getting to go across on a bus stop, you see a homeless person that looks at you as you come out. And as the cars drive by, you see the odd person turns and looks at you as they drive by. People walking their dogs, they look and keep walking. And the beast starts to come up again, digging its claws into your mind, into your heart, into your very soul. No, 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 no. No, they're looking, they're watching. You see that guy? He's looking at you. He's looking at you, Flynn. That guy knows he's one of them. Those people in the cars, that's them. That's them. Oh, see that? That guy, the dog knew earlier. The dog knew earlier. Stu could talk to the dog. Maybe somebody else could talk to the dog. You don't know who the dog told. You don't know who the dog told. What is Shelly up to? What does she know? What have they got on you? What? Maybe they're in the house right now. You've got to do something. You got to show them not to fuck with you, Flynn. You got to show them not to fuck with you. And you are in the grips of a harm compulsion.
Okay.
Until you hurt someone, you will be in the grips of the beast.
Oh God.
Clawing madness is pulsing through every inch of you right now.
Awesome.
Every ounce of paranoia, every conspiracy theory. You are burned, Flynn. They know everything, and they need to know that you are dangerous.
So the only thing I'm trying to figure out now is whether or not he beelines back into the apartment to ring the doorbell, but with violent intent, which is terrible, or if he's just going to take it out on someone on the street. But his secrecy is like a compulsion too. So the idea of a public display on that level seems out of character. I mean, he would do it if the beast takes hold, but he's going to.
That is completely up to you. In this exact moment, in this exact second, all of these people are in on it.
Oh, God. All right. Oh, God. He's so close to his apartment. That's the thing. So his like secrecy is mental. Like he's just like, all right, so I'm in the throes of it and just going to kind of crash back into the apartment and like body shaking, go up to this third floor, which is where my apartment is. And now by the time I'm out of the sight of those people, I can feel that they're outside still watching, but I feel this sort of weird safety of the concrete. Like maybe for a moment I can hide, but first I have to stop Shelly because Shelly has been watching me for how long? If she wasn't watching me, then this would have never happened. Then Stu wouldn't have figured out because maybe she told Stu like just. I go to the door and I just like, I don't ring the doorbell. I just smash the door, like hit the door with my palm. Bam, bam, bam. Like, and it's middle of the night.
You feel you are not the strongest of kindred, but you find even unintentionally your muscles tensing and flexing with your supernatural power, and you bang, bang, bang. In a moment later, you hear like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, hey, hold on, wait, Flynn, is that you?"
I can barely speak right now. Like I'm just like gargling on this bloody violence. I'm going to, I know I can't get in unless she opens the door, and I can't commit violence unless she opens the door. So I have to, I will use, dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you can attempt to continue forcing the door. You can try and talk to her to come out. Yeah. You have options.
Okay. I'm going to try and pull down the rage enough to squeak out a regular line of dialogue that doesn't sound like bloody murder. So I'm just going to be like, "Hello, Shelly. This is an emergency.
Okay. Hey, I'm just out of the shower. Hold on. And you also hear the like click, 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 click. And the door cracks a little bit, and you can see a chain. And you see her green eye peeks around the corner and sort of looks you up and down. And she goes, Flynn, are you okay? Do I need to call the cops? Like, what's
So
wrong?
I'm holding my bloody hand against my ribs,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm making it look like I've been stabbed.
Oh,
I I need help.
oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And she closes the door and she like unhooks it and opens it up. And she's like, okay, come in, come in. And she closes it and you hear it clicking the locks.
Right. So she closed it behind me.
Yeah, no, she lets you in and then closes the door.
Yep. And then I'm going to turn and I'm going to be now now the violence. Cause I'm just like, Shelly. And my hand just comes off of the thing and I go, I know you were spying on me. What the hell do you know? And I'm going to sense the unseen.
Yes, excellent. Because you do have a few powers that are relevant. So, since the unseen works automatically, however,
Okay.
I'm still going to get you to roll because we're going to see how much you can see.
Great.
So, still roll your wits and aspects.
Wits 4, aspects 3, 7 dice.
That's a good number.
That's a whole heap of dice there. 3 successes.
You are looking at her, even as she very much is like wild-eyed and shaking. Her aura is ice cold. She is not afraid of you. She's faking. But she's like, oh no, Flynn, please, I don't know. I just, if you want money or
we're in
drugs,
Hollywood. You're a bad actress.
Okay, listen, asshole.
That's Jim laughing, by the way. He's just like,
yeah. I don't know what you think you know, but I'm going to give you 10 seconds to get out of here before I rain down an entire world of hurt on you.
I just want to have a conversation, an important conversation.
You see, especially because she's so close to you, her eyes look towards the desk in the corner. She does look like she was wearing a bath towel and like her hair is up and her hands are kind of out to the side and like she looks and then looks back at you. What do you want to talk about, Flynn?
So I'm going to slowly back away from her and try and get a look at the computer. Is it on? Are we being recorded? Because I can't handle that shit.
Give me your wits and awareness.
All right. Because remember, he can't let himself be recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll set him off. And if it's violent, then he'll just go violent on it. Oh God. 4 successes.
You sort of like very quickly scan the room, keep trying to keep one eye on her. You definitely notice the butt of a handgun coming out of her yoga bag where she's looking. And the computer does have secure surveillance videos running of the hallway, of outside the house, of the back area. And there is a loop running down in the bottom where you see lots of birds in the trees outside of your house. Anybody like it's just they wouldn't necessarily know why. There's just, there's just suddenly dozens of birds were there, and then they all left.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna go over, and I'm still looking at her, but I'm sort of backing away, and I'm gonna just reach over and pull the cord out of the wall to unplug the computer.
Hey, Flynn. I don't know what you think this is, all right? But nothing good's gonna come out of hurting me, okay?
I haven't hurt anybody. And I've got this bloody hand. I go, I'm waving the bloody hand. I'm like, I don't know why you would think I'm a violent person. This isn't about violence. This is about and I go like this, and I've now put 2 bloody fingerprints underneath my eyes. Knowledge.
What is it that you want to know, Flynn?
I need to know what you know about a man named Wilkerson. And when I say it, I'm looking for insight, scry the soul kind of stuff.
All right. Well, here, let's give you the scry the soul. This time I am going to make you rouse because there could be no negative repercussions from you getting even hungrier.
So I roll one die.
Yeah, the power is going to work no matter what. It's whether or not you also get hungry.
6.
Hey, all right.
Hey.
So and you are going to roll your intelligence and aspects. I will still give you your raised intelligence from the previous scene.
Okay, so I've got 6 dice total, but 3 of them are red.
Again, I like to edit.
Dun, 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 dun. 3 successes.
She looks at you and she's like, okay, listen. Mr. Wilkerson Vendome built this place, all right?
This place?
He's all of it, Hollywood. He's got a lot of interests that he wants to keep things running smoothly, okay? And he can't have anybody, including you, Flynn, interfering with business. And as she's talking, the beast is like, lang, 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 lang. Look at her mouth, look at her mouth, look at her mouth, look at her mouth. Her mouth is moving the way it's moving. It's moving like it's lie movements. That's the way it is. You see how like it bends on the side? Only people with like that are telling lies have their mouth bend on the side like that. She's lying, she's lying, she's lying, she's lying, she's lying, she's lying, she's lying.
So that's my power also telling me she's lying, but in this way through the beast, right?
So yes. Now scry the soul. Again, with this, you will be able to get one question answered of her emotional state, whether she is a vampire, werewolf, or ghoul, whether she is under the influence of any sort of blood sorcery, or whether or not she's committed diablerie. It might be useful to know what she is.
Oh, yeah. Is she a kindred?
She is a ghoul.
Oh,
okay. So she is a human who has consumed kindred vitae while still alive. So she has some power. So she's more than a normal mortal.
Okay. Well, I'm not afraid of a fucking ghoul. So I'm going to just look at her and go, oh, you don't understand how important the secret is. The big secret dementation. So I'm going to friggin' just warp her to my way of seeing things. There's something way deeper than this Wilkerson guy. He controls Hollywood. This isn't about Hollywood. This is about reality. And Wilkerson's just a tiny piece in the bigger puzzle.
Give me your one joy of joys, a rouse check. So,
I just keep playing this friggin'.
Hey, that's the thing, man. They gotta respect you. They gotta fear you, Flynn.
I rolled a 4.
So after this, your hunger will increase to 4.
Why not?
Are becoming ravenous, Flynn.
Yeah.
And still very much enraged. And you are going to roll your manipulation and dominate.
Manipulation. So I got 3 and then dominate 2. So that's 5. But 3 of those dice are red.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good Lord. This is just getting uglier by the second. 3 successes. There is a 1 on the red, but it doesn't take away successes.
That only matters if you have no other successes. Okay.
Right.
You start whispering these crazy things.
Oh, I can whisper them. I'd be like, let me tell you about the deeper secrets that you don't understand. You don't understand. You don't understand real secrets, real knowledge, real power, reality. T.
You notice she clearly like shrinks a little bit against the door. And when she does, when she starts like rubbing her face, like, oh my God, stop. What do you even do? Joe, just shut up. Shut up. The towel falls away and she is not naked. She is wearing a tactical vest in cargo shorts.
Nice.
Yeah, but she is like rubbing her face like, oh, ah, stop, ah, and like kind of like leans against the door in a heap there, and she's like, okay, just stop, just
So
stop.
I'm going to wander over and casually, while she's in this state, I'm going to grab that gun that I saw from the yoga pants,
Mhm.
and I'm going to start going through her kitchen cabinets. I'm going to go, tea. Do you have tea? Tea would be nice. And I'm just going to walk over, grab the gun, and then start going through her cabinets.
Here she is just like, holy shit, he's right. He's just no, he's paid everybody like that. Everybody, you think that everything is like normal and free, and it's not. Holy shit, he's right. Holy shit, he's right. Holy shit, he's right. Holy shit, he's right. I mean,
Don't repeat yourself. It's the sign of a dull mind.
And you see like tears sort of like forming in her eyes as she just starts rambling out loud. That she's like, no, I get it, I get the servers, I get the offices, I get the people, I get the information, I understand. Oh my god, he's right. Yeah, tea would be lovely. Tea would be lovely.
Is your name Sherry?
No. Yeah. Yes.
Good. Okay, Sherry. I like that name. So that pleases me to hear that it's real. What I need to know is Wilkerson. How do you work for him? Are you one of his, or is this just a broader structure that you're just a tiny little crumb upon?
I work for Hoover. Hoover works for Wilkerson. Who
Hoover? Who is Hoover? And what does he do other than suck?
He's he runs the operations on the streets. Okay, wait. Shh. Do you hear that? It's like in the walls. It's like, do you hear it? I hear it all the time, and I didn't know if anybody else could hear it.
You're not providing me information. You're not helping anymore. And I am very hungry.
Yeah,
so
do it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna attack her.
Normally we only want it out of the bags, I know, but this time, like it's like a public service. You see, it's just like we're just like skipping the bags, like recycling. Like we're
she's been watching me. It's different.
We're pre-recycling. Like we don't even
pre-recycling is good. I like that. All right, yeah. So I'm just gonna basically reach over because she's all crazy and off her guard, anyways. Just gonna sort of like grab her by the neck and slam her down to the ground. I know I'm not super strong.
You see when she falls over, she out of her one of the holsters in her pants, she pulls out a knife and she's like, wait. I can be useful. I can help you. You don't have to do this. Like it's fine. Like it's just a job. I can leave and like tell everybody that I didn't see anything. You know, it never happened. Like you can delete the hard drive and everything. Like I wasn't streaming. It's all saved locally right here. Like nobody has to know anything, Flynn. Nobody has to know anything.
You're right. No one knows anything but me. I'm going to use a cloud memory and basically, so the only thing, so it's a weird thing where what I want to do is I want to cloud her memory so she doesn't remember this encounter and then knock her out so then I can ransack the place.
You could do that with cloud memory. You could take up to the last 10 minutes.
Great.
I will say just something small, like you could cover her eyes, turn her head away, cloud memory, and then so she wouldn't see it. That is cool.
Right.
Yep. Do that.
Okay. So I'll do that. So what I'll do is I'll
butt of the gun type thing.
Yeah, just whap in the side of the head kind of thing. After I've turned her away, turned her head away, and I just go, shh. The things in the walls are not really a problem. And then I'm just gonna use cloud memory.
All right. Okay. Yep. And presumably you like tie her up somehow, like to incapacitate her.
Sure. Oh, I don't need to make a roll.
No, not for our purposes.
Okay.
Yeah, but important question: are you
Yes.
going to feed on her?
Yes.
And how much are you going to take? You can, if you leave her alive, you can get
Yes.
down to 1 hunger. The only way to get to 0 hunger is to take the last drop from
I'm
someone.
not going to take the last drop.
Okay. All right.
Because that doesn't serve my purpose. Because her not knowing I've done this isn't helpful if I also kill her. So,
all true. Yep. Being fed upon is pleasurable to mortals,
right.
even though so she does not resist. So when you
Right.
sink the fangs in, for you, you prefer blood bags. This level of
Sure.
hands-on barbarism is not really your thing.
No.
But that being said, you believing that this is an act you shouldn't perform satisfies your harm compulsion.
Okay.
Between having knocked her out,
Right.
and fed upon her hostilely, you feel the beast as the vitae flows through your veins and your hunger begins to decrease. It's like its voice gets more and more quiet.
Right.
Like, yeah, okay, so that's it. You gotta show her. You gotta make sure that she's like afraid of you. You gotta make sure that she knows that you're the one that you need to be afraid of. Do not fuck with you. Don't fuck with you.
That's good. That's good. I like that. Okay. So then now I'm suddenly calm and back to my like controlled self. And all of a sudden, because I'm in that state and I'm not hungry anymore, I'll grab a tea towel and wipe my blood off my hands. Because why? How did that even happen? That's really strange. It's weird, man. And then right? Just must have been a thing. And then I'm gonna go around the apartment and do a real quick scan. I want to find any kind of weird stuff other than the computer.
All right, so let's do some investigation here.
Hey, I'm good at that.
Wits and investigation.
Okay, so I got 5 dice.
Okay,
and so I now have 1 hunger die.
Now it's 1. Yes.
Back to basics.
Mm-hmm. See, no negative repercussions to any of this.
1 success.
Is you are actually, I'm going to give you a second roll here. Give me your wits and your streetwise.
Wits and streetwise. Oh, geez, I got 7 dice for that.
You know what's up.
6, 7. All right, hold on. Oh, baby. Yeah, I got a crit, regular crit. So that's going to be like 6 successes. Wow.
As you are searching around here, you do see this computer that she's got, and for the most part, it does seem like this place, as you're actually looking at it, it doesn't look like anybody actually lives here. The bed does not look slept in at all.
There's no tea in those cupboards at all. I'm very offended.
There is just the thinnest veneer of civilization here in this place.
Which is what I believe about reality anyways, so this all lines up.
Oh, no, this is 100% everything that you expect. And as you are sort of like, originally when you look, you're like, I don't find anything. That's weird. And then you're like, oh, wait, I know how these people operate. And she's got an old tube TV sitting in the corner that you know that people would stash things in for dead drops in the past. You're like, who still got one of those? It's 2020. When you unscrew the back of it, inside, there is 2 stacks of cash, a passport in the name of Missy Cloverfield with that woman's face on it. You also find there are a couple of pictures of you from different places, just like walking down the street type thing, and like kind of like looking over your shoulder or something, like long range telephoto pictures.
Right.
And there is a picture of this woman standing with Wilkerson Verdome, your sworn enemy. And she is in a very beautiful like gown, just sort of standing next to him, smiling while he's like waving at people. And there is also a flash drive.
Okay, I'll grab all that stuff. I'm also going to take the entire computer. Like, is it like a tower machine or a laptop?
It's a laptop.
Okay, take the laptop, pop it under my arm, grab the power cord. Can't forget the power cord.
Forget the power cord.
If it loses a charge, then I can't check the thing. So I'm gonna just coil that all up, and then on the way out, I'll just sort of tousle her hair so it looks nicer, and then I'll just walk back down the hallway. I'll go into my apartment, and in one of the safe spots I've got, which is basically a hollowed out hole that I put behind one of the air vents, I'm going to jam that stuff, lock it all back up, and then I'm going to head down to the parking lot to meet Stu.
When you arrive down in the parking lot, do you bring her sidearm, or do you put that in the hole also?
No, I have that, but I'm putting it, like tucking it away in my jacket.
All right. When you come down, there are birds everywhere, sitting on every car. And that huge raven is just sitting on one of the trunks, looking at you when you come down there.
Have you ever heard of secrecy? Do you know what it is? Have you ever encountered it in your entire existence?
Secret?
Do you know what secrets? Do you know how to hide? Because this is the antithesis of hiding. This is the antithesis of secrecy.
Its feathers kind of like ruffle a little bit, and it goes, secret.
We're not talking anymore.
Yeah, it's it's not the best conversationalist, although that thing is very smart. It's like dealing with a fucking alien. It's weird, like the logical deductions that thing can make. Yeah. Hey, and then he looks at you and he goes, "You all right, man?"
I'm great.
Oh,
how are you?
I gotta tell you, I'm very pleased that you were here earlier. I wasn't 100%. I don't think you was 100% on whether or not
I'm very pleased that you're a timely person, that you follow schedules.
Well, timeliness is next to godliness or whatever, right?
Goggles is next to godliness.
That is fucking profound. That is. Hey, I'm gonna leave Cupcake to keep an eye on your place. If anybody goes up in there, she gonna let us know, all right?
I would prefer they not enter the room.
Okay, all right. There's like I got some friends in the walls though. We got like a little bit of a network going, but okay, I'll keep them out of your place.
I suspect as much.
Hey, I'm very thorough, Nobody ever thinks like, bugs is really gonna be bugs, Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, all right. Now, also, you guys know, don't sully up the merchandise. He showed. We ain't gotta make no scenes. And you see the birds all, except the one big raven still just sits there.
What's his name? Her name?
No, that's a him. That's a him. No, you got it right the first time. Believe it or not, I did not make this up. He chose it for himself. His name is Poe.
Okay.
It is very on the nose, but I told
you, on the nose.
They think very differently.
Let's go.
All right. He's like, if you don't mind, I have acquired transportation for us for this fine evening. You say you ain't got no car, right?
I used to have a car, but I do not at this time.
Yeah, that wasn't right what they did to your car. Yeah, you don't disrespect the man's vehicle, It just ain't right.
No.
He walks over and he goes to a car that is parked on the sidewalk that just looks like a Taurus, like something completely unremarkable. And when he opens the door, a body falls out and he goes, "Yeah, don't pay no attention to that. That dude was an asshole. He deserved this, believe me."
Do you ever keep secrets? Have you heard of the Masquerade?
I mean, do you know who this guy is? Nobody ain't gonna know what happened to him.
Let's go.
This guy, no. I take umbrage with the assumption that you are making here. All right, this fucking guy was slinging stones over by the playground. Like, this dude sells dope to kids. He ain't gonna do that no more, right?
You are a charitable soul.
Yeah, and he very like he just like pulls the guy up like he doesn't weigh a pound and just like slumps him in the trunk. Boom, slam. He's like, believe me, that right there, that's like garbage collection. It's fine. Ain't nobody coming looking for that guy. And he goes over and gets in the driver's seat. He's like, you ready?
I'll get in the passenger side. I'm just sort of looking it over, adjust my seat so that there's like a very particular angle, put my seatbelt on in a very controlled fashion. It's like a soccer mom getting all prepped here with them.
He's like, oh, yeah, shit. Hold on a second. And he reaches through his pockets and he pulls out a bag of chips and he hands it to you. And he's like, do me a favor, bust that up and like shake it out the window out there. You know, that little something for Poe. It's like a tip. You know, they help me. I help them. You know.
Crush, 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 crush.
I am
and
very
then I'll
serious.
sprinkle it out the window.
And sure enough, mere moments later, like a cloud of birds just descends on it and just start happily pecking away. And he's like, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. You always do excellent work.
So as the car drives away, again, I'll say, have you ever kept yourself from making a scene?
I mean, it ain't no scene. It's pigeons in Los Angeles, man. Like that's like, come on. I mean, first of all, I cannot keep this a secret, okay? Like, I mean, like, people just, what am I supposed to do? All right, you're asking like the sun not to shine, okay? But yes, it is fine. Okay, so what did you need to do? Why did you need like 2 hours? What are you even doing?
I have been doing research.
Okay,
that's what I did.
Oh, all right. Okay. I mean, you like find something in the time that we was apart?
Sometimes I find things. That's my duty. I find things.
I mean, they do call you Flynn the Finder, you know, which I was like, that's.
And I was living up to that name. And they call you Stu, the bird man.
They call me Stu the Gangrel. Thank you. I am Stu the Gangrel.
Is that your last name, the Gangrel?
I mean, I'm named after my father. His name was the Gangrel. Yes.
Oh, well, that seems appropriate then. I don't know my last name, so I chose the Finder instead.
I mean, why have you tried to find your last name? That might be an excellent quest for you to go on.
I don't require it.
I mean, no, it is like you were like the Finder. Like I get it. It's great. Great.
It's good. It's good.
You and he does like very much look at you like while he's through traffic, and he's like, you seem a little more like before you were a little and now you're a little more.
You were in my apartment. It was an inconvenience of a trespassatory nature.
Trespassatory. I feel like that is an accurate description for my entire fucking life. It's trespassatory. Did you do anything about that like Mamacita at the end of the hall there? You look into that? You see I was telling you the truth?
Her name is not Mamacita, by the way.
I mean, it's not. Are you sure? Have you checked her ID? Like maybe
like her name is Sherry Carlisle.
It is very improbable that is her name. I understand that. Sherry Carlisle. That don't sound like no spy name.
No, it's not a spy name. She's not a very good spy.
Although I guess like a spy name ain't supposed to sound like a spy name neither, though. You know, like if you're like, what's your name? And you're like, Winifred Whisper, you know, or something like that. You'd be like, that's a spy.
Obsequious Gray.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or like Bond, Steve Bond, and just like wearing like a fucking tuxedo. Like, yeah. I get your point. Well, what's the play here when we get to this spot? Are we looking in? Are we just trying to like check it out? Are we going in like heavy? Like how are we doing this?
I don't think we are armed enough to go in heavy. However, I think it's important for me to take a circumference around the building and see if we pick up on anything worth finding, anyone worth investigating further. And then if bad things were to come about, it would be helpful to have, say, for example, a 6'7" gangrel with me.
He reaches into his coat and he's like, yeah, no, size do matter. That's true. But also, and he pulls out a just giant rat. that it is the size of a foot long hot dog. And and he looks at it and he very much he goes, "Hey Simon, hey Simon, Daddy loves you." Well, like, hey, but also I got friends. Like we put like Simon here. He is the best vent man I have ever worked with. I can get him in, I can get me in, I can get you in. We do this however you want, Flynn, because this is your operation, my friend.
Okay, then let's go check out your little interesting building.
A few minutes later, he does pull up to a side street further down Sunset, one of the places that is sort of in between. Because Sunset moves in like striations. Like there's the shop area, and then there's like the where like the vintage boutiques are and everything, and then there's sort of like around it gets closer to the mall area, and then it sort of gets like Gige, like restaurants, and then it gets to clubs. But there's like little bands in between of just nothing in particular. And in the corner shop of one of these strip malls is what looks like a little staffing agency.
Nice.
It is called Peachtree Staffing.
Okay. So I'm going to tell him, don't stop, just drive by. I don't mean drive by, drive by.
I get it.
I
Yeah,
mean
not
drive by.
the night ain't over. Right. Yeah. No, this is you mean like do it like drive cool, do it casual.
If that is your way of doing it, yes.
I mean, look at me. I am very casual right now, Flynn.
You are something.
And he does drive past it. You can see there are large windows on the outside, but it looks like it is like very open and approachable. But you, Flynn, especially with an eye for such things, realize that just inside, like screens are set up, so you really can't see it all. Like
Right.
You think you can see in, but you can't.
Perfect. So I'm going to do a quick premonition.
All right, roll it for me. So premonition is going
aspects to, and
I believe it is actually intelligence. Some of the powers are not wits. Premonition is resolve and aspects. Resolve and aspects.
Oh yeah, so 3 and 3, so 6. I have 1 hunger, right?
Only 1 hunger now. Yep.
3 successes.
As you look at this place, as you are driving past, you see the front door opens, and then there's another smaller door, and that opens, and another smaller door, and smaller and smaller and smaller doors keep opening. That it's almost like a nesting doll of a business. And you see further out, you see this building sitting inside of a larger building, sitting inside of a larger. It is like it goes all the way up as far as you can see in size, and all the way down as far as you can see in size. And you hear a phone ringing as you like look through one of the smallest little teeny tiny doors inside. And on the other side, you see what looks like an old timey switch operators. You see women with pin-up hairdos that look very vintage, wearing like headphones that are talking to people and like physically plugging things in and out.
Nice.
And you hear the whir of cash counting machines in your back.
Oh, that's exactly what I hoped it would be. And so what I do is I literally open the door to the car while he's still driving.
Okay. All right. We're doing this.
And I literally try to step out of the car, forgetting that I'm wearing my seatbelt. So my legs are just kind of flailing out the side.
Hey, yo. All right. Hold on, Flynn. No, I got it.
And then I close the door again and I go, oh, yes. Stop the car.
Yes, you are a wild man. I love it. Like Simon, I told you this dude is for real. And you see the rat's just looking at you with like a disapproving rat face. And he's like, oh, don't say that about him. He might be able to understand you. It's okay. And this dude does pull about 2 blocks over and stops the car. And he's like,
so now I unhook the seatbelt and we step out and I go, we need to go in there because within those doors are the next doors of my journey.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, let's go.
All right. So we're going to basically walk over, and on the way there, I'm getting pretty compulsive about this stuff. So I'm barely watching where I'm walking. I'm just sort of like in my head counting off how many doors I thought I saw and trying to just make sure I keep it all in the recall.
You all approach from the back of it. Again, it's one of those places that there's like in between the two little like strip mallish shops. There's a spot for like 6 cars that currently is empty. In the other side of it, that opens up kind of into the like the U-shaped strip mall. There's like a tanning place, a little bakery, the obligatory travel agency with the LED sign that is scrolling by, and it looks pretty quiet in the middle of the night.
Nice. All right, we're gonna beeline for that back door.
All right. Stu's like, if you don't mind, maybe I could get this one for you.
Oh yeah. You should do that. That would be smart. We need to be smart.
He walks up to the back door and he goes, yeah, okay. So let me like show you like a little bit of a pro tip how we do, okay? He pushes a dumpster that is nearby out of the way. And he points down at the ground, and you see there is a large vent there. It's like, yeah, everybody puts like cameras and bugs and everything on the doors, but they don't never think about this part. And he reaches down and picks up the grate. And it is, you could fit through it easily. You realize it would be a tight fit for him.
Right.
But he's like, let's go down and knock on the basement door. You know what I mean?
How are you getting in there?
Oh, don't worry about me. I'll make it.
Okay.
Okay, hold on here. Fine, watch. And right in front of you, he turns into a very large raven.
No.
Not fully man-sized, but about twice as big as a bird should be.
Good Lord. All right.
And he just like looks at you and like just steps into the hole.
All right, down the hole I go.
You drop, 10-ish feet. It is not terribly far. And you do land on like hard concrete. And it is wet down here and there's steam.
Nice.
This is a very old access tunnel that existed long before that strip mall was there. And you hear Stu say right behind you, all right.
He can speak as a bird?
He's back at Stu now.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh man, this is getting weird.
Though technically he could, because the birds can talk. He just looks at you and is like, all right, straight ahead.
All right. So I'm trying not to like ferociously, but secrets, like this is what he's all about. So I'm trying to engage and like get to the thing. So I'm definitely pushing forward. So
as you guys kind of come and weave through, you hear like increasing like clatter and noise, and Stu sort of like holds up a hand for you to stop moving and sort of loosens a brick slightly and pulls it out, and light comes pouring out of it. And you look
for a moment, I'm like, light. Oh, okay.
It's true. Not sunlight. On the other side of it, you see the scene that was played out before you. You do see people at like old-timey switchboards there.
Whoa.
And the man that you know as Wilkerson Verdome is pacing back and forth on a phone, and he goes, what? He was in the apartment? Fine. Take a team over there. Kill Flynn, burn it all. And that's a good place for us.
That's good.
Yep.
Nice.
Thank you,
my
Jim.
Little paranoid monster. Oh God. Oh man.
That's when you just start shooting through the hole,
Yeah, right. I got a gun. Yeah.
We'll be there. Who knows what Flynn might do? Who knows?
I do like his ability to get himself into trouble with aplomb. Like he's not just going to, and on all those levels as a player, I know this is a bad idea. This is not strategically sound. This is not going to end well. But on a dramatic level, it's always fun to have those characters. It's like when I'm writing Minsk, like he is the kick the door down guy, and that's in a very physical manner. But this one's almost like a cerebral kind of he thinks he's got it all under control when it's so clearly just on the precipice of bonkers. Yeah.
Also, I'm very glad that we got a bestial fail in there. Like those don't. Those are, you say, nah, those are Christmas morning for me. That is that is Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa for me. Bestial fails. Yeah,
it's good, man. It's a cool mechanic too, and quite different from previous editions. So it was nice to be able to see it play out, because it gives me a bit more confidence in terms of how the game is the same and how it's different. Like, the little things like you're not taking away successes with the ones and the crits and that stuff is just a bit different, but not in a bad way. I feel like it's obviously the dice pools and everything plays the same.
It's been streamlined. It's it's all been pared down. Yeah,
it's good, man. It's real tight.
Well, thank you for playing again. Where can people find you, Mr. Jim Zub?
Well, the easiest place to find me is just jimzub.com. So JIMZUB.com. There's listings of all my projects, interviews, previews, a lot of tutorials. Actually, I've got those articles you talked about at the start of the thing, about 40 different articles in terms of how to break into comics or frequently asked questions or how the economics of comics work. I have a Patreon archive of scripts. There are literally over 200 comic scripts that are archived there. So for the price of a coffee, you can go through my pitches and my scripts and my outlines and revisions and get a sense of how a project develops and plays through to its finish line. But
which is incredible, by the way. Yep.
Thanks, man. It's so joyous. I so rarely get to be a player, right? That's the thing for me. I'm almost always the DM, the storyteller, what may have you. And so it's fascinating to me to be a player. And literally you and I have played at a table together now, and now you've run a game for me. And I have so much appreciation for what you do and for how you do it, because I know the mechanics that are running, right? And elements that you may have figured out beforehand, but a lot of it that you're just sort of like, oh, let's lean into this fun bit, or, oh, this little bit of character interaction is joyous, so let's turn that up a little higher. And I love that stuff. I love, like, it's like, I don't know about you as a writer, when you watch a movie and it's a great moment happens and your heightened emotional state, and then all of a sudden, like a little flywheel goes off in the back and you go, this made me feel this way. Why am I feeling this way? This is so great. I've got to break this down later. I've got to come back to this and appreciate what's going on behind the curtain, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, it is. Yeah, it is a fantastic thing to be able to participate in and be a student of. But
when you see people that play really well, or they get into what they're doing, or you're able to bring those moments to them, man, it's one of those things like you were talking about with Matt last week. Like I wish more people knew how great that experience can be, that if you're able to just get pulled into a story or a character and interact with each other, it's just a great thing to have in your life. It's so fun.
It is definitely a joy. And thank you for being here with us, for playing with us, for sharing these wonderful stories with us.
My absolute pleasure.
I meant what I said to Stacy. Even if you don't want to bring back those characters, something else. You will see Flynn again. So do a different thing. Like, I mean,
here's the thing. My summer convention plans are obviously all shot, just like I think all of our summer plans are in a state of upheaval. So one of the things I've been looking at is I need to game. I need to see my friends, but I also want to be more available for streams. I've never done a regular stream game. I've never, had a weekly game played on the internet or anything like that. And even my regular game that we had going before, getting everyone together at the table was every 3 weeks, every 2 weeks at best. I would love to have regular games. I would love to be more plugged into this community in that sense. And this may be, and previously I could always justify, well, I can't because I got to teach. Well, I can't because I got to travel. And now it's like, well, we got some time now. So maybe
time on our hands. Yeah, man. Let's look at a time. We'll hook something up. But yeah,
it'll be a lot of fun, man. But thank you for inviting me. I feel really, I feel honored to be a part of the business, to be writing material for D&D, to be making comic stories, and the Young Adventurers guides honestly are probably they're one of the things I'm absolutely most proud of,
We didn't even get to talk about those. Those
I
are
know, it's crazy, right? Like you're talking about a line of books that is ostensibly made to teach people the precepts of role-playing games.
Mhm.
The age that I was when I got started. I mean, the way I got that project was literally sitting around a table with Adam Lee and Chris Perkins when I went into the office to do consulting on Descent into Avernus. And we went out for drinks and we were just talking about how you got into role-playing games, how we all started in this crazy hobby. And I just like exploded with the story of playing with my brother and being 8 years old and being empowered by the game. And months later, Adam calls me up and says, we're working on a product that is that age group. I just want you to say the stuff that you said to us to everyone else to get them, like, we'll pay you to consult on it. And literally by the end of the conversation, I had wrested the whole project away. And I said, I don't want to give you my thoughts. I got to get this out of my head. I got to make this thing. And the response from the community, and man, it's been electric. It's been so awesome.
Love them. Yeah. No, they're
the best. One second, my headphones popped out here.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go. We're back.
Timing for it, yes. Now, but yeah, thank you again for everything. Thank you for, again, the information, the visibility. Like, it really has affected people. It has affected me personally.
Awesome.
If you have any interest in writing and the creative process or anything, please do go read his stuff, because he gives you the rare perception of having done it as an independent and done it on the inside, and being able to give you both sides of the fence. So definitely check that out. And
thank you for everything, and thank you for setting this up. It was it was a real joy.
Anytime, it's a great time. And we will be back next week with Miss Melee Damage. And I'm not even going to tell you what game we're going to play. You'll find out when we get here next week. But in the meantime, thank you all for tuning in. Be safe out there and go roll some dice.